fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
Tuesday means we're back with the Simworx Roadster Rumble. It's season number 3, round number 4, as we get ready for our second endurance race of their season as we're here at Road America tonight. My name is Daniel Yeaman. I'm joined by Nick Scrave in the commentary box and Scott Fontaine in production tonight. Nick, unfortunately missed last week due to clashing commitments of my own, but it's good to be back here for the Simworx Roadster Rumble and back on comms with you tonight. After our first endurance round at Spa for the season opener, we're back for a second endurance round and here at Road America tonight.
Yeah, absolutely there, Daniel. Thank you for having me, and to Fonty as well on the production. So it is great. We do follow the mixed up kind of championship here, so it is great to have a bit of a mid enduro halfway. So awesome work tonight. It's usually always a massive bit of fun.
Indeed. Second enduro of the season. There'll be at least one more later on in the calendar, but let's keep our eyes here on tonight as we have a look here at the track map for Road America. Classic American circuit, over 6.5 kilometers in length, means lap times for these cars at the moment are over 2 minutes 30, as we're currently in the middle of qualifying, but we'll get to that in just a moment. As you see here, look a little bit more details about the track. 14 turns, some of them perhaps a little bit interestingly named, given the American penchant for a track corner system, but nevertheless, a long front straight, a long second straight, high-speed backstretch with plenty of famous corners such as the Hurry Downs, the Carousel, Canada Corner, interspersed in amongst all of that there, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we see some of the really exciting corners like the kink with these MX-5s are pretty much flat to the floor as they come through. So, yeah, nice technical track there as well and very high speed. So expecting to see quite a lot of close battles.
Sure we will tonight. And given, many of these corners are high speed for an MX-5 given their low power output, but they're also on pretty skinny tyres. So any kind of incorrect lines through some of those quicker ones, and they'll be possibly struggling to get those cars through the corners as they'd like. So qualifying is not too far away from wrapping up here. We'll hopefully get you pictures as drivers got a couple more laps here in the session. We've got 37 teams here tonight, which is good to see that we've got, it means obviously double that to 74 drivers in the server and getting ready to race for this evening, Nick. So healthy numbers out once again across the mix of classes, given that we have two AM divisions along with a Pro-Am class and a Pro class. So we might be seeing a bit of spread in the field, but nevertheless, this series always delivers a good race. And certainly the AM drivers don't have to settle for being at the back of the pack, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing to note as well with the Enduros, we do get a fair few swing-in drivers that you might not normally see in the championship that are absolutely on pace there. I was actually just casting my eyes over a few of our drivers there. We've got Matthew Catalone there currently in 5th position for 93 Racing, so they'll be definitely one to watch. Matt is just so strong in these MX-5s. We're just seeing on track there, car 51 here at the moment. But we did see, I think it was Cooper Allen, and we few blokes incorporated that were so dominant last time over the last two Enduros that we've have. So yeah, those group of guys just seem to be nailing it.
Indeed. Cooper Allen and Oleg Landsborough were the two drivers behind the wheel, the number 14 at Spa, as they are here once again for Road America. I believe that's a team name change for those two since the Road America Enduro that opened the season. Meanwhile, on board there with Dylan Canto in the number 30, but unfortunately he's opted to abandon that qualifying lap after a small mistake there. But nevertheless, we've got one more driver out on track at the moment. The Synergy Sim Racing number 42 is the team name, but number 88 on the car once again. That is going to be a gripe of mine for this evening. It's Damon Mulqueen, I believe, currently behind the wheel of that one, as he looks to complete this qualifying lap. Pardon me, he's actually finished his qualifying run and is just currently bringing it back to the pits. As the drivers have 4 laps tonight, lone qualifying session, so only a maximum of 4 laps allowed to get their times in. So as you can see there, Damon in the number 88 was 15th there on the timing on the ticker as we just caught that there. So he's just completing an lap and bringing that car into the pits. Meanwhile, still out on track, the number 27 of the Sholton Lewis Racing Team, Chad Lewis behind the wheel. And it looks like Chad here has got one more lap to go, Nick. So this is actually one that hopefully will count for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Just casting our eyes there. There's around 3 minutes to go here on the clock, which is just enough. We are seeing our lap times around that 2 minute and 30 mark here. So yeah, Chad Lewis a little bit further down the order here at the moment. Have seen a few of our certain teams a little bit further than what we see. So with Synergy Sim Racing there in 15th, so they're going to be having to push pretty hard there as well. As well as some of the downshift cars as well. We normally see we'll see Tane Venables and co a little bit later on. They'll be really strong. Just show such a strong race pace. So just seeing Chad Lewis come around the aptly named carousel around the back part of the circuit.
Indeed. Lap looking good here for Chad. It maybe see what his lap time is like here at the end of this one. And through this kink we were just talking about, sounds like it's nice and flat out there for him, and he keeps that nice and controlled on the corner exit, which is good to see. Making their way down to Canada corner now. Final major braking zone on the circuit. Let's see here, what does he do? Obviously opens up the corner nicely. On the brakes, looking nice and good. A little bit of a wobble there as he thinks about turning it in early, but car looking pretty stable for the most part. And making our way up to the final couple of corners, which is see here now, hoping to improve on a 2 minute 32 point. Pardon, that was practice time. 2 minute 33.5. He's looking to improve on. Into the final corner here. Looks good and uses the exit curb quite nicely indeed. So up the hill here, what has Chad Lewis got for us, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. He's on fire at the moment, according to his helmet. Very cool paint as well that they've unveiled just for this Enduro here. He's coming over the top there, so 233.489, which is actually not too bad. I think that put him somewhere around 14th position there, so just above Carbon Potatoes and just below White Knuckle Sim Racing.
Indeed, moved up from 17th provisionally, so good to see a little bit of improvement there for Chad at the end of the session. The number 75 of Downshift Down Under was on pit exit for the moment. Simon Joel Smith completed 3 laps of qualifying and then looks to have ended his session there. So with less than a minute on the clock, that is everyone back in the pits. So I think it's time for us to head to the grid here, Nick, and have a look at where everyone's at for tonight's race.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have Sonny Cansham putting the team WTB car in there in first place, as well as Boyd Racing there. So on that first race, not too surprising there. Few blokes incorporated. There'll be one to watch there alongside Phoenix Smokers Racing. That was by Nick Wood. So great work there by Nick Wood. 93 Racing and Savart there on row 3.
Over the page here, Simon Joel Smith there in the downshift down under number 75, taking position number 7 here in qualifying. Ben Snell for Team Perhaps lining up alongside them on row number 4, and then row 5, Caleb Patterson in the downshift sim racing pro entry number 43. He'll be partnering with Tane Venables for this one, and they're alongside the carbon eggplant entry of Tom Huggan, having qualified that car there. Dylan Cantor for Duo Motorsport put their car on 11th place, and Neil McKenzie in the downshift Black Dog entry car. Rounds out row number 6 here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have the other White Knuckle Sim Racing car there. Sholton Lewis Racing Team we did see just come over the line then. Carbon Potatoes Synergy Sim Racing, they'll be one to watch there. Brenton Hobson and Damon Mulqueen. Simworx Penrite Extreme Racing there, car 26, and Carbon Mungbean there on row 9.
H once again, Palmer's Australia on the inside of 10th row here. They'll be alongside the Down Under Sim Esport 99 car. Simworx.com with Lee and Caplice setting qualifying laps. They'll be alongside the Sharp Racing Team MX5. And then Mentos Frogleaf Juice Racing will be alongside Down Under Sim Esport Yellow for row number 12 here as we head over the page once again.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to get through this quickly. We were Guns Once Racing there, Carbon Pumpkin, HBC Racing, APT Dasher. That's Motorsport. They've maybe misspelt that one. Extreme Racing and Fearless Racing there on row 15.
Last couple of cars. Crisscross 71 will be alongside Obsidian Racing on row 16. Fenson Brothers Racing alongside Team Kiwi Sim Racing on row 17. Mauler Esports and Team KP Tech for row 18, leaving Crisscross Racing number 7 over the page. 37th and the lone car on row number 19 here tonight. Well, that now leaves us with cars just waiting for the end of the gridding procedure, which hopefully not too far away now, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a bit of a word from our race control, making sure everyone's on there. Everyone's waiting there quite patiently, so we've only got about 15 seconds or so to go, 5 seconds to go.
Not long now. Revs rising here for the start of this one here. Round 4 of the Simworx Roadster Rumble was underway, and looks like it's a clean start from the field.
Jack Boyd, sorry, I think that is Jack Boyd there of the Boyd Racing car going all the way to the inside, so they've all really pushing very hard to that right, trying to defend that inside line. He is actually up the inside of Sonny Canchin there, so he is going to take that lead there, potentially Cooper Allen though, all over the back there of that Team WPT car as well.
They're looking single file now at the front of the field, but we've got some 2 wides still here in the mid-pack, so we'll make our way down to turn number 3 officially here, but I'll be calling this turn number 2, I'm pretty sure, most of the evening, given that it is the second primary corner, but single file now for the most part. We're about the top 20 or thereabouts, I'd reckon, as we head down the second straight here for the first time. Plenty of cars back nose to tail here, but good to see. Nothing crazy as we get this race underway here.
Absolutely, and don't forget this is a flag to flag race, so you'd have to say there for Jack Boyd. I think make a gap there way up the inside there for, I think that might be Sam Lehman or Andrew Hobby behind. So Sam Lehman there of 93 Racing, he's also going this Enduro event here tonight with both him and Matt Cardone. They've got nothing to lose and they're not fighting for the championship. I did see, I think that might be the carbon cars pushing the big fight as well. So a little bit of hip and shouldering here, but so far, thankfully, everyone's kept it relatively clean.
Yeah, I was just saying we were calming down, but we're 2 wide, almost 3 wide now in several parts of this track in the mid-pack. You see here as they make their way out of the... Oh, contact on the exit of the corner before the carousel. That's Todd George in the Carbon and Potatoes car around, and a car on the outside of the carousel in the gravel. That's not good. And that's Barra Hodson in the 92 for White Knuckle Sim Racing out there as well. That's not gone good. And he's got that car hard jam steering to left here. Not sure if there's any more damage, but we'll hopefully get a replay in a moment for you folks and try to get a read on what happened that one there. But up the front of the field. Oh, trouble through the kink, Nick at the back. Number 21 has just gone off track for a moment, but Brady Buchanan's got that car back on track and recovered it nicely as they head down to Canada Corner here for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did just see the Boyd Racing car and Team WPT in that previous shot there. A little bit of a gap there to few blokes incorporated. We'll be saying that a lot here tonight. Just see that some of these gaps opening up here as well. Expecting very high drivers as well. Quite a few cars though, almost going into pit lane there, so maybe surely make the most of the tyres while you can here, because yeah, there is going to be quite a few pit stops here tonight as well. You can see this big bunch with Mark Foster though right in the middle of it. Sonny Canchin there taking that lead back off. Jack Boyd there, just had a MX-5, I think that was Cooper Allen going in there, so slowly.
It's going off here now, this mid-pack battle that we're watching on the front straight. Lee Harrison it was in the Simworx Penrite car defending all the way to pit entry. He's holding on to the place, but in the meantime, Liam Caplice has come up to be the car behind him. A good run down the front straight from the Simworx.com MX-5 has put himself up into, pardon me, I'll find them on my timing tower, up to 12th place there for the number 45 Simworx car. 9 spots gained from the start of the race there, our biggest move up the field so far, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Great move by. Also, Lee Harrison just out in front as well. G3 wide, don't. Yeah, there's definitely no braking traction there in the dirt, so seeing that right MX-5 super wide as well. Great to see the duo trading car. Dylan Cantor there, both himself and I'm assuming Ben Ferguson together as well. Joel Crompton just up ahead as well, so great, super great racing. We've seen everyone here at this stage.
Oh no!
Let's say that.
The 111 has gone or being bumped wide, and it's caused 3 or 4 cars off the track. Daniel Webster in the We Were Once Guns racing entry. I think they're unfortunately the first of several victims at that corner there. We'll jump now to a virtual racing score replay to get a read on that one there, because unfortunately that one started with pretty innocent bump and rub there through turn number 8 here, and it's unfolded quite unfortunate for not only Webster but several other drivers here.
Absolutely, a massive impact. You can see he was pretty much a sitting duck. Did the right thing though, held the brakes on, but there's not much you can do. It's actually quite a narrow part of the circuit. Did see some pretty heavy rear suspension damage. Sorry, just on that news as well. Looks like Barrett Hodgson has disconnected, so even more bad luck there for White Knuckle Sim Racing there. We have seen another car spun around, so first lap seemed to be even a little bit cleaner now. It seems to be all on the right. So we are going to come to the power race replay. That was 43 on Coleman, so it's just completely outbraked himself.
So, and interestingly, it doesn't actually run it wide into the 308 Phoenix Smokers car, and actually just the car loops itself there on the inside. So good control to be able to make sure not to run wide and take somebody with him, but not the start that the 43 was looking for. You see Tame Venables not racing in the number 43 downshift sim racing car tonight. Caleb Patterson, we saw qualifying the car, but Owen Coleman starting the race for 43 here tonight. Meanwhile, front of the field, it is definitely on. Sonny Canshin leads from Jack Boyd here, but that margin is basically nothing. For good measure, Cooper Allen is barely a couple of tenths back and just, I think, holding ground here. Cooper and Ollie currently on 2 consecutive Simworx Roadster Rumble endurance race wins. Looking to make that 3 in a row here tonight, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So even just actually had a brief look over that championship as well there. We did see, thankfully it wasn't Tame Venables. He is sitting 5th in the championship at the moment, so he's trying to make bank wherever he can. But has actually given his number up to his teammates to use here as well. Just see some of these gaps forming ever so slightly. It's about a second and a half from that first group to this group here. You see everyone just trying to sit in. That's really the mindset you really need to take with these enduros. Just sit in the car and just chip away at it, because it is quite a long night here with about almost 2.5 hours.
Indeed. Meanwhile, as we were discussing the race leaders, race control's been busy in the background, and unfortunately a drive-through penalty has been issued for the number 15 car that we were riding just on board on the exit of the carousel a moment ago. Adam Sharp starting that car there tonight, but they're going to have to come down the pit lane for a drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, back up the front, as we were talking about once again, Cooper Allen in the number 14, opting to just ride the 3rd place position for now. Probably get a decent amount of fuel saving done the end of the straight, you'd think here, Nick. And while the MX-5 doesn't burn huge amounts of fuel, every little bit might be able to help out here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll probably start to see, especially when they're in so tight like this, we'll see a lot of cars rolling off from the throttle. It's not really worth it at this stage to get an overtake. It's not really attractive. You can try and outdrive everyone. You get in front and try and make a break at the moment. You just see more. I think that was Ben Snell from Team Perhaps there. He was right on that rear bump with the car in front. So you can just see how close a lot of these these cars are pushing it here at the moment. We're trying to show a pace here.
Speaking of close cars, woohoo, got ourselves a busy fight here for 10th on track. Liam Caprice has made his way past Lee Harrison to take that position away, but again, the draft back from Harrison, though he opts to stay in behind this time down the second straight, but Chad Lewis, he's going to go for it up the inside. Does he get two before we get down to turn 5 at the end of the second straight? I'd say the answer is yes, he'll take that. And we've also got David Mulqueen in the 88 looking to move forward. Harrison to the inside of Caprice, though, at the corner. That's bumped the Simworx car wide. That's not gone well there. Position retaken from Harrison, and Mulqueen's going to sneak through for good measure. And already elbows are out, and we're on lap 4 of 46 here tonight, Nick. So clearly they're not here to play games.
That's a really good driving experience there by David Mulqueen as well. So hopping on the MX-5s here. He's really dicing up with so many strong drivers. So definitely one of our big improvers throughout this season. Just sit up.
Yeah, up 4 spots from his starting position of 16th at the moment is Mulqueen. We'll be driving, I presume, with Brenton Hobson later on tonight. So we'll be able to put that car in another pair of experienced hands, both in general but also the MX-5 in particular. Meanwhile, that race lead fight is still going, but Tony Canchin still holds the lead. Jack Boyd opting to ride shotgun with Cooper Allen, also opting to hang on to his 3rd place. Does mean that the Savart car, number 12, Andrew Hobby, is potentially able to start making his way in. He's only 2 seconds off the race leader and just out of shot. In fact, there he is, just coming into shot as we head through the final corner with the race leaders here. 2 seconds obviously isn't very much of a gap, and it's only about 1.3 from Andrew in 3rd to Cooper in... Andrew in 4th, pardon, to Cooper back there in 3rd. And should give him a chance to latch onto them if they keep up their sort of steady driving as it is. But you can see here plenty of drivers up and down the field running line astern. Here's Sam Lehman starting the 93 racing car. They've now got Ben Snell in the team, perhaps MX-5. Starting to get close to the rear bumper. A little wide from Lehman through turn 1. Going to compromise position. But makes his way down to turn 2 here. And able to hang on to the position for now. No pressure, not so much pressure applied there from Snell at this time.
I actually just saw a massive incident there between was around the back side of the circuit there. We'll try and see if we can cut to a replay there with Mark Foster, I think in the number 5 car. Yeah, it was. Would be probably about, it was down the back side of the circuit. I think just after the rear straight, before the front straight. Yeah.
Look here, indeed. Yeah, the number 5, Mark Foster there. Here we go. Virtual Racing Score replay thanks to Scott Fontaine on production. So here we go, working out of Canada corner up to the final corner of that. And gets a shunt from behind there. And cars have to scatter all over.
I actually think that was started by leading police, but gone off this circuit. It's actually caused a bit of a concertina effect, so possibly no harm, no foul. Unfortunately, Mark Foster, though, the big loser and all that. You just see how fast and how close they're going together. So yeah, if you jump on the brakes, super quick. Does not
And
give enough.
there was more drama ahead of them. Damon Mulqueen and Liam Caprice came together at exactly the same corner. So we've had 2 incidents in that final kink as it was happening. As it turns out, it was unfortunately Adam Sharp aboard the number 15 car that tagged the back of Mark Foster through the penultimate corner. But for good measure, Damon Mulqueen heavily into the back and side of Liam Caprice. Both cars losing a lot of positions, but Mark Foster, the biggest loser of them all there, it would seem.
You'd have to say that you'd be pretty nervous there being Brenton Hobson and for Damon as well. Probably one of the toughest roles that's got to be filled here for tonight because Brent Hobson there with that 2nd position in the championship. So he's got all of his eyes on the prize here at the moment. Seeing cars a little bit further down though, all the way up the hill, 3 wide. We'll see plenty of this continuing on here tonight.
Liam Caprice, Damien Seeger Dylan Canto side by side. Canto, oh, rubbed into the grass. Massive contact on the front straight. 2 cars gone into the grass. Caplice, and I believe that's Seeger. Oh no, the rejoin! Oh no, the frog leap car of Roderick Hollis has been obliterated by the rejoin from Caplice. And a third, oh no, that's 4 or 5 cars caught up in the ensuing melee. Oh my goodness me, that's going to need a replay and a half here, folks.
Definitely a few, yeah, definitely a few, possibly black flags there, but I doubt his car will be able to continue on. We are going to cut here to the top. We could see it all kind of lining up, so not forgetting that Land Caplice did have that pretty big accident on the previous lap here as well, but choosing, had a good run though, coming up on the straight, and yeah, we caught it in our live pitches, just went over the top here.
And yeah, that's just Seeger, unfortunately, freaking out and moving into the side of Canto. But then for good measure, Caplice has come over and gets clipped at the rear by Seeger. So cars shuffling around too much and then just drives straight back onto the track. I'm sorry, Liam, but that's an incredibly poor move from you. Takes out Roderick Hollis for good measure. And cars have to scatter. One of the carbon cars there, I think, just clipping the front of Liam's stricken MX-5. Thankfully, I believe, for that carbon car, no major damage. Possibly, actually, no, I take that back. There is a carbon car, carbon pumpkin of Wade McCulloch is currently in the lane, and that left front of his car looking a little bit smashed in for good measure here, Nick.
Such a bummer there for Roderick Hollis. Like, was trying to do the right thing, and then yeah, if a car drives across the track like that, there's nothing you can do to you can't, and especially at that part of the circuit, it's such a fast part of the circuit. We are actually, sorry, just in live pictures there, Boyd Racing, Jack Boyd has chose to go in the pits, so he's going to leave a few of the other cars out, so choosing to go with that undercut there at the moment. Just seeing Ray Oliver getting a black flag as well. I'm sure we'll see more penalties getting dished out on that live incident that we just saw as well.
The incident for Ray Oliver was something that happened earlier before we had that big incident there on live feed the next. So I'll have to try and find Ray on the entry list and see if I can figure out what's happened to him. But in the meantime, yeah, the opening strategy play comes from the Boyd Racing MX-5 out of position number 2. Well, I think now is probably as good a time as ever to try and quickly get your head around the strategy requirements for today's race. So a 46-lap race here tonight. We do have also a 2-hour, 20-minute race session, but this race should go to the lap count rather than the time count tonight. And yeah, 300-kilometer race distance for these cars. So once again, a lengthy event for us tonight. And then here are the important facts. The drivers must complete 4 compulsory driver changes tonight. You can pit anytime starting at the end of lap 5. And you must complete your mandatory stops by the end of lap 40. You must use a minimum of 6 tyres during the race. The cars are capped at a fuel tank capacity of 16.2 litres, down from 20 if I'm not mistaken for this car. And then the big one, which is that no driver can complete more than 26 laps in their car tonight over the course of their stints. And in addition, you cannot complete more than 12 laps in a single stint in the car.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just catching a few more penalties coming through there. So I think we did mention before Damien Seeger, Phil Alty there as well. So live race control all over it at the moment. There's really not too many sneaky things that you can pull away with. Probably a good time to speak as well about the championship. Did kind of reference it a few times. So Jack Boyd to Brendan Hobson to Cooper Allen. Sonny Canton, James Venables and Nick Wood, Damien Seeger, Lee Harrison, Todd George and Caleb Patterson there leading our pros. So are seeing our Pro-Am, Tom Huggin, Owen Coleman, Daniel Webster. Did see Barry Hodgson, so he was coming 4th in that Pro-Am class. So that technical failure that he's got at the moment there is going to cost him pretty dearly. Just also seeing another, I think that is Ben Snow in the pits now as well.
Indeed. So drivers now starting to respond to the early pit stop from Jack Boyd. Glenn Boyd now aboard that car for the Boyd Racing pair. And another car there peeling off onto the pit lane. Out of that one there. Let's see if I can find them on my... We've got several cars down the lane, so indeed, we've had Ben Snell into the lane up the front of the field, and then Damon Mulqueen following in, and then at the back of the pack that we just caught at the end of the final corner, Jesse White-Carrick brings the KP Tech number 8 car down onto the lane. So those drivers getting one of their stops out of the way here nice and early. Meanwhile, down to the turn 1. Number 5 car there. I believe that would still be Mark Foster indeed. Still aboard the downshift Black Dog car. Looks to the inside of the number 71 of Jamie Willits for Crisscross Racing, but no move made at turn 1 this time by Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really comes, probably yourself more than anyone else would know really what the approach is for these endurance events. So really, as we've seen, it's not really worth taking any risky moves on that kind of risk-reward basis. So really got to just try and sit in there and chip away at it, and then if you need to make moves later on, then that's really kind of what comes at the end. Seeing these two just showing a bit of a nose at the moment. Oh, big wiggle there under brakes. Defending really strongly though.
There's Adam Sharp looking to recover after earlier incidents and penalties already awarded. They've got Jamie Walker behind them, running the Obsidian Racing car out there, but meanwhile, up the field as they make their way down through the kink into Canada corner, we've got Tom Huggin looking to get past Sam Lehman in the 93 racing car there, closed down by Simon Joel Smith. But Smith has to back out of it. Meanwhile, Huggin tries for the outside at Canada corner. It's not going to work for him there. He opens the door for Smith now to try and sneak a move around the outside at the penultimate corner. Surely that's not going to work for Smith. No, he actually pulls it off. Excellent work there from Simon Joel Smith. But also good awareness there from Tom Huggin to not push the car too hard through the corner and risk the side-to-side contact. Opts to slot back in and line up for another shot later on in the lap. Although he comes into the pits, but meanwhile on live camera is just back. Another one of the carbon cars in Joel Proctor's just blown the motor at the final corner. Oh, that's got to be heartbreak there, Nick, and toes immediately back up to his pit box.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit hard. Can't really roll into the pit stall, unfortunately, with that big hill that he's got to come up. So potentially maybe just missed a gear. We can see that he had all kinds of distractions there. Fighting with the, I think that was that WD-40 car there as well, but might have just shifted down ever so slightly. So that has put him all the way back there. Is also going to cost him a lap as well. So very unfortunate there for Joel Proctor, who would be absolutely kicking himself, and that will be pretty a lengthy stay there in the pit box.
Fighting to defend from the Shelton Lewis Racing Team car with Chad Lewis aboard that one there, but down to first gear, and it went horribly wrong there, unfortunately, for Joel. Meanwhile, back out with live pictures. Mosman Rolls has got the 747 back out on track, but unfortunately they're now down in 33rd place. Simon Joel Smith, 4th place now at the line as more cars continue to come into the pits and starting to break up our lead packs. And in fact, speaking of which, Wayne Losh has now, well, sorry, I should say Sonny Canchin brought the leading 68 down onto the pit lane, and it's now Wayne Losh behind the wheel of that car in the meantime. They're currently down in 15th place. Now, fascinating to see, during the pit stop shuffle, Nicholas Scaife has gotten aboard the Savart number 12 MX-5, and they've gotten ahead of Glenn Boyd in the 58 Boyd Racing. So a small change in effective position there for those lead cars that will eventually shuffle their way back to the front of the field once the pit stop cycle completes here for the end of this first stint. But that's good pace from the Savart boys, because there was not a lot of space to slot yourself into the gap between what is now Wayne Losh and Glenn Boyd here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd have to say they're very hard to split those two as well, even though that would be probably considered maybe the number 2 drivers of those teams. They're still so competitive as well. And great work there by the Civarc crew. Andrew Hobby, as we've seen and probably mentioned many times before, so strong in the TCR cars, as turned his hands here to these production cars, so doing an absolute excellent job.
Meanwhile, yeah, it was just a little wide from Scaife on the through the kink, but never mind that because the race leader has brought the car down onto pit lane. Cooper Allen responding to the earlier pit stops from the leading drivers. That now promotes Sam Lehman in the 93 racing car to the race lead for the time being, but running out of laps here before he'll have to jump out of the car and hand that over to Matthew Cardellone. Now I see here down the hill into turn 3. Got a bit of side-by-side action there. We've got ourselves Aiden Gregory on the outside for Team Kiwi Sim Racing. Just comes down on the nose ever so slightly of Dylan Canto in the Duo Motorsport number 30, but no harm, no foul there for that particular move, attack and defense. So those two guys carry on there. Meanwhile, just up ahead of them, side by side between Phil Audie, Carl Ridley as they head down into turn 5, but unfortunately there, Phil looking to just try and recover after the accident and black flag for the 45simrigs.com entry. So out of position on track at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of now it really comes down with most of our first lap stints away now. Start to really come down to our just chipping away. We've still seen actually quite a few cars there have not pitted so far. In particular there, Sam Lehman of Car 93 Racing. We've seen Sam be in the Roadster Rumble in previous weeks there. We are just having a look here. I think that might be Lee Harrison there.
Aaron Oliver now aboard that car, Nick, but I should say we should take our eyes forward to the race leaders of those who have pitted. Number 14, well, it was the leading driver. Oh, meanwhile, though, Brenton Hobson of all drivers. Goodness me, that's a rare mistake to see out of a driver such as Hobbo Skill around on the exit of turn 5. That's lost time. Thankfully, not too many positions, but that's a whole chunk of time he's going to have to work back into it. So let's have another look at that one there on the virtual racing school replay. I was just getting a bit excited about what was happening with the drivers who have come out of the pits for the race lead, but we'll have to come back to that in a moment here, Nick. Oh, just bobbles on the inside of the apex curb, and the MX-5 does not appreciate it this time by. Does have roadcast suspension, but a bit too much of a jolt that time by there to allow him to put the foot down on corner exit.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see just how hard he was hitting those curbs as well. So even though these are a production car with production suspension, it's so easy to unsettle the car. See a big amount of time made up here as well. Sam Lehman into the pits there, really hard on the brakes as they come through. So they're coming through for the first pit stop.
Indeed, almost everyone, but the number 50 Obsidian Racing is the only car to now stay out on track and is yet to pit. So we'll see them down the lane, in a moment. So actually, as I'm saying that, no, they did come down the lane this time by, though, just a little bit later to the box. So pardon me there. It looks like we might be a little bit behind on the broadcast feed for reasons unknown there, as I've got Jamie Walker already in the pits. But we'll hopefully have that taken care of in a moment, folks. And indeed, back to live pictures with you now. And in fact, now this is a little bit interesting. Another new driver takes to the race lead. D. McMahon is now aboard the 308 Phoenix Smokers racing car, and they've jumped the leading pack by just well, it's about 2 seconds here, folks, as they make their way down to turn number 5 here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We just, just caught, I think that was one of the carbon cars, just came off the circuit pretty wide there, but just catching up with our live pictures there. Wayne Losh just chipping away here at the moment. And just see how much of that curb that they use all the way around, but we'll see plenty of leapfrogging now as they go back and forwards. Pretty amazing though to see, I think Aaron Oliver now, and sorry, we're just actually seeing my timing screen try and update itself, but I do believe down under Sim Esports Yellow and the Simworx Penrite Racing there are our big gainers, 13 and 10 respectively as well. Great to see, seeing a lot of cars already carved through the field, and we're only less than a quarter of the way through, so what's happening here at the moment.
Indeed. First pit stop cycle complete, which is good to see. All the drivers making sure to pay attention to the maximum 12-lap stint requirements. Meanwhile, though, the battles are continuing down the field. Good to see here. They might be fighting over 26th place on track, but Jeremy Picken and Jamie Budd are giving it a good scrap here for us on broadcast tonight here, Nick. And it is a good thing to see for this series that despite the fact that we've got drivers of such a wide range of skill, and as a result, they fan out on track, they'll find someone of their skill level to race with and have a good fight with just about any time, anywhere. It was a little bit wide there from Jamie Budd through turn 5, but no harm, no foul, apart from a almost certain 1x there on the outside for an off-track.
Absolutely. Actually just catching up Team WBT though, under a lot of pressure, I think from Steve McMahon at Phoenix Smokers just at the front, but they've all sorted themselves out. They're a bit more spread out here. You can actually see it's actually that bit of fighting there has actually brought all those 5 cars together there. So Nicholas Scaife bringing up the field. Scaife doing an absolute amazing job there. So to be around that top 5, especially with the caliber of drivers here at the moment, if you can stick with those guys, it's going to be a really good learning experience.
Indeed, we missed it because it was off air, but I'm off screen there, pardon. But actually, a little bit of shuffling here at the front of the field. Sees Steve McMahon drop from 1st to 3rd, and Wayne Losh to take the race lead. But the car that came out of the pits a lap prior to the 308 that had the race lead was Oleg Lansbury. Unfortunately, down here at turn 5, he went wide and lost it whilst trying to defend all over the back of Wayne Losh into turn 5 this time by. But nothing happening at the moment. These guys looking to all run line astern. We also do have the lapped car of Dale Carpenter in the mix. A contact with Glenn Boyd. Oh, we'll have to see what race control thinks of that one there, Nick, because Boyd went up the inside trying to clear the lapped car. But did the lap car turn down, or did the Boyd there on the lead lap fire that one in a bit too deep here? Let's have a look here on the virtual racing school replay.
Yeah, absolutely right. I'm going to cut to the replay here and see what had happened. So, didn't really have a great amount of overlap there. So, yeah, you'd have to say there for both Jack and Glenn Boyd, they'd be pretty nervous to see what the outcome is going to be there. Definitely the potential championship implications there for Jack.
I have you on board with Glenn Boyd. To be honest, from the onboard angle here, it looks a little bit more substantial on what I call the overlap. So I have to say, I think that might come down to a racing incident there where Carpenter on board the car, unfortunately, turned down and has paid a bit of a price that he didn't really want to or need to pay there. So not ideal in his case. Meanwhile, looking a little bit further down the field, one of the cars looking to recover after earlier mistakes. Brendan Hobson aboard the 88 for Synergy Sim Racing, makes his way through Canada Corner and looking to press on. Meanwhile, though, we look from the back of Robert Crisdale, who's currently up behind Hobson, and the gap from the back of Crisdale to Richie Domingo in the Carbon Eggplant number 63 entry there. Just over a second between those two cars, so if Richie here can just have a couple of clean corners and a clean half a lap or so, good chance he might be able to make his way onto the back of Crisdale and Hobson here. But the draft will be favouring Crisdale at this time here, Nick.
You'd have to say there, Richie Domingo really getting through the field there at the moment. There have been, I think, almost, I think either Brent Bull in behind, sorry, just having another update of my timing screen there. I know Jamie Budd and Mauler Esports there up 24 positions, so seeing a bit of a battle of attrition there at the moment. We've seen, trying to count at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere around between 7 or 8 cars there, so almost a third of the field there all being involved with just really basic incidents there, so can really go to the show. And we've already got 10 cars as well, actually more than 10 cars, 11 cars a lap down as well. So
interesting. I'm seeing one car out on track a lap down with a couple more cars Greg Holmes is also a lap down, but in the pits currently. Now, in saying
I
that,
just update my timing then.
the number 13 of Greg Holmes, that car's not looking too healthy there on the pit lane. That's fallen over on its right side. I think we might want to see if we get a replay here for. Yeah, let's see if we can figure out what on earth has happened here to Greg Holmes in the background whilst we keep the live pictures going for you on broadcast here, folks. So I'll be back with you in just a moment when I figure out what on earth has happened to Greg.
Yeah, you have to say we're pretty disappointed with seeing Greg. Definitely one of our.
Oh no! End of lap 12 for the number 13 at Canada Corner. That's really unfortunate. In saying that, hopefully we get we'll get a replay of that one for you folks, because that one there has a. Indeed, number 13 for Extreme Racing. There, Anthony Connor's now aboard, car repaired, and heading back out onto track. Will now be approaching one that indeed goes now a lap down on the race leaders. So not the way they want, but here's the Virtual Racing School replay. So we'll see it once we get around to Canada Corner. But you can see here, Greg Holmes was aboard the car. And just a little wide on the exit of the carousel, so not quite the greatest setup down into this complex of corners, but you can see here, it'll all look good and well here, and unfortunately, Nick, it's going to come undone at Canada Corner here.
Absolutely, just a shame to see that Race Labs paint scheme to be a bit messed up here, as we're going to see such a fast part, such a heavy braking section there as well. Just what an impact there on the wall, so you could see just how much that suspension was damaged. Unable to move, so towing back to the pits.
Indeed, obliterated the drive shaft on the number 13 there, unfortunately. So that's their hopes at competing for positions further up the order done for now, as there will be no safety cars for today's race. So they're going to have to be relying on a bit of bad luck for other drivers. Meanwhile, you see here, fights up and down the field. Nicholas Scape is trying to hang on to 5th place here. Or pardon, I should say, he's actually made up to 4th place on Glenn Boyd. But the two guys here have now dropped off what is a leading trio, with Steve McMahon, Ollie McLansborough, and Wayne Walsh leading the race out in front. These guys obviously will be looking to try and make their way back to the leading trio, you'd be thinking, Nick, so they can make it a 5-way fight for the race lead. But Nicholas Scaife making some moves here and isolating Glenn Boyd to pick off a position sometime earlier on in the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really does come down to just trying to sit in there. If you keep battling with the cars all around, it's you can very much lose time as well. So do cast our eyes through some of the timing screens. Really got one car there.
Pardon me, right behind Aaron Oliver, who we're riding on board with, is the 111 of Dale Carpenter, and that almost got messy there for a moment. Carpenter is a lap down on these guys, and unfortunately nearly found the right rear corner of Aaron Oliver's car at Canada Corner there. So Oliver, that was a bit of a moment for him. And speaking of another moment there, just opts to put the left side tyres in the grass for just a couple of 100 metres there. Ooh. Looks like it hasn't hurt him too much on straight line speed there, but probably not quite the optimal line through the final corner, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing the Synergy car with Down Under Sim Esports Yellow. So both these two gaining, even despite that minor issue that Brenton Hobson had a little bit earlier, still up around 6 positions at the moment. So expecting him to really card through the field though. But gee, Graham Ellis there with an absolute great draft to see how much he closed up there. It's great to see the Down Under cars there. We've seen them be quite competitive in some of these endurance events. It's just a little bit of good luck really needs to come their way.
Indeed, it's actually Robert Crisdale, if I may correct you, on board the number 9 for Down Under Sim Esport. Graham Ellis is up the road into number 75 for Downshift Down Under. One of those lovely close names that is going to be a good bit of fun to make sure we get those right for you again tonight. But having a look here at the battle for 14th place on track, Ben Ferguson now aboard the number 30 for Duo Motorsport. Leads Neil McKenzie in the number 5 for Downshift Black Dog. They've got Caleb Patterson looking to recover and come through the field in the 43. And behind Caleb, we've got Lucas McAuliffe also on a recovery drive for Carbon Potatoes here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just see kind of talking about teams that are strong here in the endurance. The carbon cars are always such out in force. There's usually about 2 or 3 or even sometimes 4 of them. So just see just off the pace here a little bit. So he's about 0.4 of a second there. So if he can stay with this group, he should be able to potentially make a position pending any mistakes there. Car 99 around the back part of the circuit. That is one of the down under cars there, Ray Oliver. Yeah, to one of my favourite bridges there, the barbecue bridge, as they come underneath it, does make me very hungry every time.
Meanwhile, back up to the front of the field, Wayne Losh still leading from Ollie Lansborough and Steve McMahon. Almost spacing out a little bit this trio here, but in saying that, only around half a second separating each of those cars. The gap, meanwhile, for 4th place is about 0, as just behind the leading trio, Nicholas Scaife is being pushed along by Glenn Boyd there, down into turn 1. Boyd opts, though, to get on the brakes early and get off the rear bumper there, Nick, as we get lap 16 of 46 underway here.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like they've actually picked up another sponsor as well. I'm just trying to read that upside down, but you can just see how tight these two keep it there. But great work there by Scaife. He's up against some pretty tough competition here tonight, so to be able to dice it with the best of them, you can see just how close Glenn Boyd is, how much he really runs. It almost looks like one MX-5 from some of these shallower shots there, but backing right out of it. Surely he's going to try and move around here next couple of turns.
Maybe, but at the same time, it looks like Boyd is happy with the pace Scaife is running and content just to push him along in a straight line to try and keep the speed up without putting Scaife under too much pressure through the corners here. Speaking of the additional sponsor, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is Bimstruct on the bonnet of the Boyd racing car tonight. That's a name I haven't seen on a sim car in quite a while. That actually goes back to the days of Gone Rogue Motorsports, which is now, well, I say it's been a while, but it's probably only been about 18 months or so since that team, I believe, stopped racing, or at least the drivers all chose to go elsewhere and found new homes or went privateer for a bit. But that's a story for another time, I think, because we need to keep our eyes here on the fight. It's now a fight from 12th through to 17th here, if I'm not mistaken. Terry Knowles in the Fearless Racing number 2 here ahead of Richie Domingo in the number 63 for Carbon Eggplant. And Richie now restarting to apply the pressure through the carousel here, Nick, as we make our way into the end half of the lap.
Yeah, just trying to work out there. I've got the down under SimSports. I've got the downshift down under car of Graham Ellis ahead of these two with 2 pit stops done. So is he technically our talking pit stops? So we have actually seen the Boyd racing car come back into the pits as well. So both himself and the Simworx Penrite Extreme Racing there of Aaron Oliver both into the pits now. So yeah, definitely choosing a different strategy to some of our other cars here tonight.
Indeed. Glenn Boyd brings it down after just 10 laps in the car. And I presume that means putting Jack Boyd back in. I mean, with 4 mandatory driver changes tonight, you do have to sort of be a bit fast and furious in getting the changes done. And presuming here that means we'll see Jack get in for another 7 or 8 laps. Then probably put Glenn back in to complete the minimum required laps, because with 26 laps being the maximum for one driver, that'll mean that probably see Glenn Boyd do about 20 laps, I would wager, here tonight, with Jack being given the responsibility to get 26 done. So we'll see when Jack brings the car back in. We'll see if they do a short stop like they did earlier in the race, where they only stopped after it's just 6 laps at the end of their first stint, Nick.
Yeah, you can just see back on track now as well. Cool little angle there, seeing all the spectators out here tonight here on board that car 58. Cool little the pit gloves as well. So seeing some really colourful cars and driving suits and all kinds at the moment there. Oh wow, gee, you can see that Simworx car of Lee Harrison. So Lee Harrison back in the car right on that rear bumper. So potentially a bit of fireworks between these two cars. We know just how, especially between Jack and Lee Harrison, how much these two have had their battles over the seasons.
Indeed, these drivers have obviously been long-time racers and supporters of the series, and good to see they're actually close it up here on track, that's for sure. That pit stop from Lee Harrison, definitely a little bit more snappy than the stop for the Boyd Racing boys. Wasn't all that much, about 2 seconds stationary was all the difference, but it all added up to about 3 seconds faster on the lane for the Simworx car, number 26. And you can see that now puts Lee Harrison in a great place to be able to push Jack along here, I would think. Try and make the most of the opening or the early pit stop and not lose too much time to the guys up front. Speaking of which, top 3 have all stayed out on track this time by, but the Savart and Team Perhaps cars are down onto the lane this time by, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see, we did see that Team WPT were almost one of the first cars in there at the moment. So just seeing a bit of puffs of smoke every which way here out on circuit here at the moment. But we're seeing Savart, I think, as we just saw, yeah, car number 69 go quite the way through the grass there, but they are back on circuit. What a cool paint job as well, that Ryco performance. We are going to cut to a race replay. Potentially might have come out of the pits on cold tyres and maybe just overcooked it ever so slightly. A bit like what we saw with Brenton Hobson a little bit earlier, but yeah, you can just see how wide ran through the big part of the track. Plenty of runoff though, so thankfully not too much time lost in that.
Yeah, no harm, no foul, though. Yeah, just a little bit tight. We're down turn 2. Oh, goodness me. I think that might have been... Oh, how was that not... Oh, pardon me. It was still with the replay there. I was looking up ahead, further up ahead on this replay here. With we had 2 cars almost nose to tail at turn 3. So that was... a little bit busy down there, Nick. For a second, I thought we were on live pitches, but here we are now. Back to live shots here with our race-leading trio once again. Wayne Losh just starting to almost pull a little bit of a breather on Ollie McLansborough. And this time by Steve McMahon is now on the rear bumper. Meanwhile, here's our guys who have taken their second pit stop with Lee Harrison and Jack Boyd down into turn 5. All one astern for the time being. But they've got Andrew Hobby and Ben Snell right behind them. So here's 4 cars now fighting for what could be the net race lead. Good to see here Ben Snell's brought the Team Perhaps car up into contention. They were a little bit further behind in that second stint, but again, another quick pit stop from these cars out on track got them right where they want to be for the start of this next stint, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely hard on the brakes there. So it's coming around the back part of the circuit at the moment. Just seeing, yeah, we are seeing a few more cars coming through the pits here at the moment. I think Ollie McLansborough's almost caught out on their own at the moment.
It's Wayne Losh who's brought the leading car, number 68, down onto the lane, but only Wayne Losh. McLansborough and Steve McMahon have both stayed out. So we've got 2 drivers there, pretty much nose to tail, which is going to help them out. But now is the test. Does going longer here in the race help out the WPT car, or can the packs led by Jack Boyd close up any ground on them and jump these guys here in the pit cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. So really quick pit stop, hopefully. They're in that very far pit box. Oh, sorry, we just actually caught Brindley Eastwood there involved in a bit of an accident there off screen though, but has actually managed to pull it back up together to these Bard Robkin and the 2 cars around him absolutely going hammer and tong here at the moment. You'd think it was a sprint race here. We are cutting to a replay a little bit further down, just on board here with Brindley.
There's Daniel Webster aboard the 111. Oh, that's not too good because Webster is a lap down and just knocks the car wide. Allows Bard Rodkin and Matt Van Egmond through for position on Eastwood, whilst Webster is the lap traffic in that scenario. That 111 car definitely been in the wars tonight, Nick. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure it's doing itself any favours if we keep having moments like that out on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, they were able to catch it back up pretty quick. Hopefully not too much suspension damage, because that could be what really slows them up there. We are seeing these three cars just so close here, have been very close here all night here at the moment. So that is Sonny Canchin now splitting between Lee Harrison there and the Boyd Racing car up ahead. So just starting to fall up ever so slightly, Phoenix.
Oh, meanwhile, we've cut to the race leaders currently, but at the same time, Lee Harrison is just absolutely throwing it up the inside of the hurry downs on Sonny Canchin to take the place off of him. Canchin, having just come out of the pit lane, clearly tyres not up to temperature, has lost the lead, or the effective lead to Jack Boyd, and now lost effective second to Harrison with this move. Good awareness from Canchin not to press that too hard, but ambitious yet very successful there from Lee Harrison, Nick.
Yeah, we've seen Lee would have to be one of our most experienced here in the Roadster Rumble. Just opening up a slight gap as well. Might have shaken Sonny Canchin up a little bit. You can see, I think that is, I'll have to update my timing screen because it is all over the shop again, but just see that gap a little bit further down. I think that might be Mick Lansborough down the road ever so slightly. So
Lansborough has come into the pit lane this time by, and Cooper Allen is getting back in the car there for Few Blokes Incorporated. They've got one of those pit boxes right down the end of the lane, so we'll see if they can come out with these leading trio. Meanwhile, middle of the lane, Brenton Hobson is out of the 88 for Synergy Sim Racing, and Damon Mulqueen gets back behind the wheel, that one there. But let's go find Cooper Allen. Moving away from the pit box now. Where are the rest of the boys on track? Allen's out in front, but he's got to get that car up to speed, and Boyd and Harrison are coming quick. So he's going to have the lead here through turn 1, folks. But just you watch. By the time they get down to turn 5, I wouldn't be surprised if Boyd and Harrison are all over the back of Cooper Allen as he gets his tyres up in temperature, Nick.
yeah, you can see just how much Harrison has really bridged that gap all the way from Canchin over to. He definitely felt like he had that bit of extra pace here at the moment. He's almost hard on the limiter there. You can see all the lights up on the on that race pack dash there. Yeah, gee, just see how perfect there Jack Boyd uses all that off-track section there as well. So you just see it was really just a few corners.
Oh,
Just
cold tyres doing exactly what I thought they might do. Cooper Allen pushing hard to get the car up to speed, and it has not gone well, and he's going to have to fall back in line to net third, as these guys are currently fighting for 10th on track, but they are the leading drivers who have taken 2 pit stops. I'm just going to apologize, I was listening into race control chatter. Some issues apparently around drivers racing outside of their classes, which, given that they're all out on track, bit of an interesting call there to make, in my opinion. But then again, that's based on my own experience with my own series with internal divisions. So, say no more from me on that perspective, I suppose. As so Cooper Allen's outlap is going to go from bad to worse here as Sonny Canchin goes up the inside at Canada corner, and it's back to 4th place for the Few Blokes, number 14.
yeah, I think it was more around the fact that I've seen maybe a few lap down cars there really pushing hard, as we've seen. Not so much in the last couple of laps, but a little bit earlier on, where it had actually cost a few people on the lead lap incidents and stuff like that. So
That would make more sense. That's a good point. Thank you for clarifying that one there. Meanwhile, bunch of cars down onto the pit lane. Downshift Black Dog, number 5. Carbon Eggplant, 63. Duo Motorsport, number 30. Carbon Potatoes, 226. And down under Simi Sport, 99. Apparently already 3 stops complete for that car. Unless, no, pardon me, sorry, that number 99 has served a drive-through penalty and is now taking a second pit stop. That explains their pit total being a little bit different to everyone else. It now means that there's 3 cars left out on track to get their second pit stop complete. The number 75 of Graham Ellis, the number 93 with Matthew Cardellone, and the 308 with Stephen McMahon still on board. These guys running their stints all the way out to the end of them, it would seem.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, goodness me, hello.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Call us through it, Nick, because it looks like here, yeah, we've now got side-by-side for the net lead, and Cooper Allen is back on the charge here, and he's not settling for 4th in this group.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Sonny Canshin just push all the way through. So Lee Harrison really kind of shoved out of the way there. All in pursuit here of Jack Boyd. You'd have to say, the Boyd racing car out in front. So you'd have to say, as they come around there, he's going to be really under a lot of, under a massive threat in some of these draft zones. Oh, you can just see the rear of Cooper Allen just ever so slightly breaking away. Just holding it together there, thankfully. Not too powerful, these little MX-5s, so do keep it pretty well planted there. Coming through the kink though, Sonny Canshin having an absolute stellar run here. Going to see how they're going to set themselves up for the braking zone.
Bump from Allen to Boyd. Sonny Canshin though takes the draft, gets around Allen, shows the nose. We're going to go side by side through Canada corner. Jack Boyd isn't quite ready to give up the race lead, it would seem, once the pit cycle completes itself, but side by side through the penultimate corner. Neither driver is yielding. Cooper Allen's got nowhere to go, so he's going to have to stay back behind these two. And just going to start allowing Ben Snell back into this fight, because I think they had started to drop him ever so slightly, but Snell now, and also Andrew Hobby is currently back a little bit further behind. So it's a chance now for this to become a 6-way fight for the net race lead. Side by side down the front straight here, Nick. Sonny Canshin is without any help whatsoever.
Yeah, Sonny Canshin there choosing to divide that inside line there. We can pretty much see, I think that is the inside of Jack Boyd's car. We've actually just seen, I think that might be the Phoenix Smokers car there of Nick Wood. So he's going to be a little bit nervous there, because he's going to have these almost 5 or 6 drivers there thundering towards. It's going to be quite interesting to see how they're going to pick their way around there at the moment. So you did get a good run out of there, but Jack Boyd is just reeling him in with that draft.
And Jack Boyd with the tow once again. I expect to see Nick Wood here. He'll lose spots to Boyd and Canshin under brakes with the cold tyres, you would think. It's a question of who else gets a position here. He's out very wide. Cooper Allen says, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Lee Harrison up the inside. A little bit of a rub and bump from between those two cars. Harrison still keeping a nose in it for turn 6. And he gets job done on corner exit with the warmer tyres. Does Ben Snell get a chance to get a move on here? Is he going to get caught behind as Wood tries to get those tyres up at temperature? He's going to stay behind here as they make their way down through the hurry downs. And up to turn 8 as they get ready to head around the carousel. This one could hurt Wood here. Long loading corner. With tyres not up to temp, he might be off the pace, but Allen right to the bumper of Canshin once again. So we're approaching half race distance, Nick, and well, it's still anyone's game by a long shot, as Canshin to the inside on the exit of the King for Canada corner once again. Are we going to get a repeat of the past lap? I think we are. Cooper Allen starting to blink massively though right behind him. This isn't too good.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd have to say that would be a bit of a distraction there to Lee Harrison there in behind. Hopefully you can get those connections sorted out, because it's not something that they take too lightly there at the moment, and especially in such a critical point on these cars are running so close as well. So, oh,
You see here the onboard footage from Lee Harrison. That is that's not what you want. It's about, to be honest, I'm a bit concerned. That's quite substantial and frequent blinking in and out. If it happens at the worst an unopportune moment, that could definitely be nasty. But the draft and the bump, it's going to see Jack Boyd pushed back through to the race lead. Cooper Allen sizing up P2. He's going to be able to slide in front of Solly Canshin on corner exit. So a little bit more shuffling here in the front pack once again. They've now assumed their positions as they were on track. So here is our top 7 for the race lead if we count back to Andrew Hobby in the number 12 for Savart. Just off the back of this pack, but he's closing up with every single lap as these guys continue to start looking at side-by-side action here, Nick.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you can see just how good of a run. Almost 2 by 2 by 2 there. So Cooper Allen, though, looks like that blinking has subsided, and especially so critical to have a good internet connection, especially when you're leaning on other cars just so strongly. So everything's kind of calmed down a little bit. You see Ben Snell still in behind that Phoenix Smokers. It looks like Nick Wood has actually picked up the pace ever so slightly now with that warmer, now that those tyres have come up to temperature.
Yeah, it's good to see now. This pack is growing. And Sam Lehman is the next car off the back of this train. He's just come out of the pits, though, so he's on an outlap and will probably stand to lose a little bit of time until he can get that car fired up temperature-wise. And then behind Sam, it's Damon Mulqueen, but the gap between those two drivers is currently in the order of 17 seconds between Mulqueen and Lehman. So see there that it's probably going to take a bit of work for Lehman to be able to jump onto the back of the train. It's 5.5 seconds from Lehman up the road to Hobby at the back of it. Single file this time, though, for the leading group all through Canada Corner. So looking to settle down and possibly try and pick up the average pace of the group and not let too many more guys get a chance to hook them. But just to say that, Cooper Allen has a mate battle. Lee Harrison looking a little tight in the exit on the corner. Sorry. But here we go. Up the hill and one straight once again to complete that point straight. And first half of this race complete here.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be a technical difficulty. Are you catching that all right, Fonty? Oh, yeah. That's all right. Dan, you might need to double check your mic. There as well. We're coming in 3 wide again, so that is Team WBT there up the inside. Lee Harrison is all over that as well. Oh, geez, we've just behind those two, the Phoenix Smokers putting all the pressure there on Cooper Allen. So Cooper Allen leading this group only a few laps ago, but now squeezed all the way back here. Or you can see Ben Snell. This is all 6 cars are just in so close together. You can't even split them by about a second or so. Andrew Hobby also.
Hopefully I'm back with you guys now. Apologies there.
Oh yeah, perfect.
If we had any technicals, but did we just flip a switch or something, folks? Because we've just suddenly gone from end of that lap there where we had maybe one bump pass. Look, to we're going 2 by 2 by 2, almost. The second half of the race has begun, and it looks like we've decided to up the tempo here. It's definitely allowing Andrew Hobby to make his way in, but it's also giving Sam Lehman a good run at this. I think this group ahead keeps it up, and we're going to have 8 cars racing for the lead by the end of this stint, I reckon. But stay tuned for that one there, folks, and keep our eyes peeled as I make their way in the carousel in single file, for thank goodness, this time by. But we'll see. Do we get another side-by-side to Canada Corner? Seeing that there's good odds on that one here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. It hasn't seemed to have slowed him up too much either. So we are seeing like Synergy and Sam Lehman as well. A little bit off the pace there. We're all seeing all these cars here around that 232 mark. So even though that they're kind of lining each other up through the corners, that draft is actually being compensating. On track-wise, well, Phoenix Smokers there braking very early, catching a couple of cars there off guard. So that's actually shuffling him down couple of spots there that has promoted Lee Harrison a little bit further up.
I'm not too sure that was the 308 breaking all that early there, to be honest. That looked like, more to me, they were responding to the fact that 2 cars ahead were side by side and needed to just maybe break a fraction earlier. But what it really looked like there was the number 14 with Cooper Allen back on board decided, you know what, the inside line is a good option for me right now, and absolutely fired it into kind of the corner. And then when he did that, forced the 308 a little bit wide there through the middle of the corner, and Lee Harrison took full advantage on the inside. And again, see, late on the brakes from Cooper. It's almost he's starting to wind up and test a couple of moves here. And it's... You'd think it would hold them up here, but it's not allowing the front 2 to get away impressively. So they can keep this up, but Harrison... Oh, was he thinking about trying to get too wide of the exit? I'm not so sure. Has to tuck back in. And he's going to have to push Cooper along here to make sure we can get up to the lead 2 and not let them break away here. It's just what Jack Boyd and Sonny Canchin will want. You see there, Boyd, I just noticed on the brakes there down to turn 5. He is not looking to go past anytime soon. He is more than happy to roll off and let these guys figure it out. And hopefully get a chance to break away with Sonny and make it a 2-car race.
Yeah, absolutely. We have actually looking over those last lap times as well. It has actually pushed them a little bit slower. We're around that 2:32 mark. So now we're seeing all of our cars creep around the high 234s, 235. So just need Sam Lehman there and Damon Mulqueen if they can maintain, and the down under car, sorry, of Kyle Ridley, if they can maintain those low 233s, they can actually catch this group.
I think that's a good chance of it happening. You see here, these guys making their way through the carousel this time by. And all maintain line. As soon as we see there, the number 12, Andrew Hobby, once again back on board the Savart car. And we saw Nicholas Scape doing a good job earlier as well to fight. And just, I think here, biding their time at the back of this pack, being towed along quite nicely. And there in the back of shot, that was Sam Lehman, just making his way into frame through the kink. And here's Damon Mulqueen, sorry, aboard the 88 for Synergy Sim Racing. Although, as I said, they've been passed by Kyle Ridley. So those 2 cars are there on track for position, and they are both going to hopefully be trying to hunt down the leading pack of cars, although they are 18 seconds behind Lehman apparently at this stage. So it's going to be a bit of a long game for the number 9 and number 88 to make their way up to the front. Meanwhile, just working our way through the field here, number 5 there, Mark Foster, once again back on board the downshift Black Dog car, is there in 13th place and looking to catch up to 11th, which is currently held by the Carbon Potatoes 226. Todd George aboard that car now. They've also got Tom Huggan not too far behind, though, in the number 63 for Carbon Eggplant. So two downshift cars currently in a carbon sandwich, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just off the with our lead group, we have seen Team Perhaps there. Ben Snell has come in there. Oh, gee, Lee Harrison there, just showing a bit of a nose. So has actually dropped off this lead group. Potentially might be the right thing to do, especially with how hard this group is fighting here at the moment. All of them, though, pushing into the 233s on that last lap. So being behind Jack Boyd is probably not such a bad thing, especially with just how much pace that he has.
And the more single file racing they can do, the less they'll hold each other up. But the more of this side-by-side we get through the corners, that's when we see the lap times trickle into the 234s and the 235s. Yeah, mid to high 233s from this group puts them closer to their pace, and means that Sam Lehman only gained about a tenth or thereabouts on the pack on the whole last lap by. But I was just having a look there at the laps completed so far in this race by Ben Snell. He's currently, pardon me, up to, I believe it's 15 laps complete in this race. So I think that was more a tactical decision to get him out of the car, put Brody Cook in for a long stint of about 10 laps, and then they can put Ben Snell in for the final stint to ensure they comply with the minimum maximum lap count requirements. And given here as well, I'm seeing Jack Boyd, 3 on his, this is lap number 10 for Jack Boyd in this stint. So I think here that he's probably going to, I would expect Jack Boyd into the pits pretty soon here, as probably want to get Glenn back in the car and make sure that Jack can do a roughly 10 laps into the end. Oh, Little bit of contact maybe between Cooper Allen and Lee Harrison, but nothing comes of it, thankfully. So positions maintained as they come out of Canada corner and up to the final corner on the track. End of lap 26 here. Do we get any takers for the pit lane this time by? Let's have a look and see. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Boyd, Canchin, and Harrison all into the lane here, Nick.
Yeah, we did see Boyd hang it very far to the right there through that last corner, so trying to make his intentions known there. You don't really want to cut across the car behind as well, so he's going to mix up our field a little bit more there. Kyle Ridley is going to come through on this group. A few of the downshift, down under cars as well, so see how we go in the pits there as well. Lee Harrison not very square to the pit box. We have seen he was an absolute demon into the pits last time around there. Aaron Oliver jumping into the car.
Indeed. So changing over here, resume. That means that means we will see Lee Harrison finishing the race for the 26. Aaron Oliver probably do about a 10-lap stint here to get that car into the window for finishing distance and also lap requirements. Waiting on fuel, it would seem, for the last couple of cars here. Who's going to be the first off the lane? The answer is Glenn Boyd, but Aaron Oliver jumps Wayne Losh in the pit cycle. So once again, that Simworx Penrite car is getting some absolutely rapid pit stops off tonight. As on pit exit there, having to make way for cars still out on track. Oh, compromised Glenn Boyd there a little bit perhaps, but does Aaron Oliver go for the move? He does, straight up the inside. He takes that free option as soon as he can, but cold tyres, runs it in deep, and we're going to go side by side down to turn 5 here again, Nick.
Absolutely. Gee, these two have spent so much time side by side here as well. See Sonny Canchin and the Team Perhaps car of Brody Cook there a little bit further off, but gee, these two are going to fight out of the pits side by side. Oh, gee, Lee Harrison goes in. Sorry, Aaron Oliver, super deep though. Getting that position done, you can see, I think that is Ferguson there. Sorry, Dylan Canto just up the road there. So Dylan paired with in the duo trading car. It'll be great to see Dylan on a big learning curve as well here for this season of the Roadster Rumble.
Indeed. So currently holding position, having started 11th, they're still in 11th, so they're making a solid pace. But yeah, now with the lead pack of drivers from the lead group, this is could definitely get a little bit interesting here, because Dylan and Brandon McMillan are fighting all over 10th place, as is their right and their focus. But this group of drivers here, I expect will want to get through as soon as possible, and probably all at the same time for good measure. Meanwhile, just a little bit further up the road, the carbon and downshift mini battle we had going on, it's turned from a carbon sandwiching downshift into carbon leading downshift for the little pack here. So a little bit of shuffling going on there, and the win for the time being has gone to the Carbon Esports cars there, Nick, as they make their way onto the pit straight. Any takers for the lane? The answer is not this time by.
It's almost a bit like a carbon open sandwich there with the with those two up in front there, so you'd have to say all of them will be all working together in contact with each other.
That's a good way to put it, actually. Meanwhile, up the front of the field, Cooper Allen and Nick Wood continuing to go at it here. And now lapping in the low 2-minute 33s, these two guys. So pace is back up now. They're not scrapping as hard. We'll have to wait until the next lap to see what the group of drivers who have just pitted can do. But they're navigating Dylan Canto. And as I said, when one gets through, all four would like to get through. And Dylan Canto opts to back out there before turn 3 and acknowledge that he's not racing these guys for ultimate pace and effective position once he comes into the pits in the next couple of laps here.
Yeah, absolutely great sportsmanship there. Not wanting to get in the way. You could just see how heated it gets between. Or it is a bit of a nervous moment there. You can just see the blend line of keeps the boot in though. straight back onto the circuit, but you can see just the speed difference between some of these cars here as they enter back onto the circuit.
Indeed. Dale Carpenter aboard the 111 coming out of the pit lane as Caleb Patterson went up the inside of Aiden Gregory at turn 1. That almost got a little bit hairy, but thankfully resolved itself despite Gregory taking to the grass. But good car control from him. Meanwhile, another battle packer making his way through turn 1. Chad Lewis defending from Jamie Walker over 21st place on track. Chad not having the greatest race so far. They're down 7 spots to that 21st position, but defending from Jamie Walker, who's up 10 spots from their start to be 22nd at the moment. See those guys a little bit later where they end up. Meanwhile, what can this lead pack do now that they are on their first timed lap out of the pits? The answer is we're going to go side by side into the canter corner, because why not keep the tradition up here, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. That has given Boyd just that upper hand. You can see these 4 have really kind of grouped back in together at the moment. See that Savant car of Nicholas Scaife a little bit further back, being the number 2 driver for that group there as well, but they've had such a strong showing. Did start, I think, on that second or third row there, but still holding pretty firm, so won't be too disappointed with that.
Indeed. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, unfortunately, number 51 of Mauler Esports with Jeremy Picken on board. He's had a small moment by himself down at turn 5, and unfortunately they're one of the cars that is now a lap down on the race leaders. So now the last car on track still running, so not quite the race they wanted to have, but meanwhile, who is left out front? Both of the 14 and 308 are still going, as we just catch the 51 there on screen for you folks. Unfortunately, down 35th. They haven't actually moved in terms of positions gained or lost, so maybe they'll consider that an okay race for them. But just a small moment there for Jeremy at turn 5, doing just like we saw Hobbo do earlier in the race. Got the car over the apex curb and it bounced badly on exit. So meanwhile, here's our race leaders. Cooper Allen still holding back Nick Wood. Now, I'll be curious to see here. The plan looks like it's going to be to put Cooper back in the car for a short stint to end the race here, given the number of laps that those cars have tallied up. Meanwhile, Nick Wood got a little bit more flexibility in it, but depending on which of those two guys has got the better pace. Lap times in the mid to low 233s at the moment, so a little bit off their ultimate pace, but there are less cars to tow around, and both of them are going to stay out here, so we'll have to keep an eye on them for a bit. Sam Lehman, meanwhile, well, he's only been out there for 6 laps, so he'll add another lap on here. His stint to make it 7, and then as we come back to this pack, meanwhile, we've got Jamie Bard in the 69 for APTR Motorsport. Just trying to get out of the way here of this fight for 5th on track with Tom Huggan. Pardon me, Tom now in 4th place. And leading Todd George, along with Simon Joel Smith and Mark Foster. It's a 4-car fight for 3rd there. Sorry, 4th there, pardon me. Getting myself all crossed up, trying to look at my timing tower as well. And Mark Foster there, just dropping off the back a little bit. And they'll have to keep their eyes on their mirrors if they don't keep pressing, as Aaron Oliver and that pack is coming. Meanwhile, Cooper Allen going defensive from Nick Wood, who looks to maybe opted this time there to show the nose perhaps into turn 5 here, Nick, and maybe start trying to put on the pressure as they make their way around. I would think surely anytime soon we should see both of these cars into the pits for a driver change and to get one of those pit stops out of the way here.
Yeah, you'd have to say what a great showing there by the Phoenix Makers guy. Oh, sorry, we've just seen off screen Aaron Oliver just coming off track though, but hasn't actually lost any position at all. Might have to catch a bit of a VRS replay.
Oh, there's been more trouble for another lapped car. Dear Carbon Pumpkin and Brenton Bull. I think another car to catch drama at turn 5. But let's have a look here at Aaron Oliver. Running in hot into turn 1. And yet, thankfully, Ooh, just as I said, thankfully that's no dramas there. Had to straighten the car back out on the grass, and the wall was coming in quick. Thankfully for him, that wall didn't come far enough in to cause any problems there. So does indeed retain the lead of this pack of cars that are looking to try and keep the pressure on our lead too. But in the meantime, whilst we're looking at the replay, Wayne Losh has moved himself up into the second of the pack, ahead of Glenn Boyd. Brody Cook still running fourth in the pack, and Nicholas Scaife just that little bit off the back of the group, but still lapping faster than these guys here. So very much keeping in touch here. So still got the 5 cars here on the same strategy, all fighting over the same bit of track here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely there, G. You can just see how much pace we've got there from that. Oh, sorry, on board with Brody Cook. I was just trying to remember the team name. That one always seems to throw me a bit, but you can see on team perhaps there how much he's pulled in. Or you can just see much later on the break. So then some of the cars out in front, and now we've got Lee Harrison there and the WBT cars side by side. They are going to come back into single file, but it seems to be pretty even across the board. Most cars putting in around that 233 now at the moment.
Yes, indeed. Just trying to keep the fighting to a minimum, you'd say. Meanwhile, while we've been looking at this, Cooper Allen's in the pit lane and has handed his car to Ollie McLansborough. But looking at the fact that these guys are coming down the straight now and Ollie's just getting out of the pits, I expect to see them storm past Ollie here in a moment. Oh no, once again. They're going to get out in front, but last time this happened, Ollie ended up overdriving the car down at turn 5 and losing the spots. Meanwhile, behind, Sam Lehman doing the driver change with Matthew Cardelloni as well, so they're into the pits at the same time and trying to stay on strategy there. Here comes the hungry pack of MX-5s. Are you ready, Ollie? Because I don't think they're stopping for you here on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. They're taking that very defensive line there, but you can actually see just how much of that curbing you can use there. Lee Harrison there trying to use that momentum to go all the way around there. Oh, and he's actually, that could actually potentially put him into a slowdown there. Did have all 4 wheels off into that grass there, so it doesn't look like it's actually costing too much there at the moment. WBT all the way at the back.
1x off track, I think, is the answer to that question there. And this time by Oliver Lansborough, able to pull the car up there for turn 5 and hold on to the position ahead of the pack. So can he hang on long enough for these tyres to come up to temperature and be the new effective race leader, depending on how things play out for Nick Wood? Speaking of which, the 308 has come down onto the pit lane this time by.
Yeah, absolutely. We are sticking with this group here at the moment through the kink. Haven't seen too many moves come through there, but gee, Lee Harrison there with that inside line. Ollie having to choose to roll out of that. You really need to be able to apex it to hold it flat. That's actually put him in the clutches of WBT there and the Boyd racing car of Wayne Losh and Glenn Boyd. So squeezed out again by Lee Harrison. So sorry, by Aaron Oliver. So just an absolute battle, almost for an hour long between this group.
Indeed, they're still going at it. This is giving exactly what the 308 needs to possibly have a chance to get that breather here on pit exit and have a chance to get the tyres up to temp for turn 5. See here the 308 on my screen still stationary in their pit box, so it's going to be close when the leaders make their way past. But I think that time at Canada corner, Ollie gambling on the outside line, possibly working. Here's the rejoin in the blend. It's a lot closer than what the 14 was, this pack. Oh, goodness me, 308 to the middle of the track. Aaron Oliver says no, and neither the 14. That's, aggressive immediately on the pit exit. Here comes the swarm. That's not worked out for the 308 Phoenix Smokers car as it did for the 14 just the last lap by. So perhaps not the right strategy call there, but it's starting to break the group up again because the 308 a little slow through turn 3. And now, side by side between Brody Cook and Wayne Losh as they try and get past on the way down to turn 5. But McMahon defending from Cook. He's going to have to force to the outside. Wayne Losh, nowhere to go. But what does Cook do here at turn 5? Is he hang it around the outside? He does. And in fact, he's able to get it done. And the 308 doesn't push the advantage having the corner apex there. So position change there. And I think now that group will get up to speed. But lap times from this group, once again, approaching the 2-minute 35 range thanks to this battling that we're seeing here, Nick.
Yeah, what a gap that was picked there by Lee Harrison. He could see what was going to happen there with Steve McMahon choosing to pull right onto that racing line, so chose very early on there to dive to the right-hand side, which was the right thing to do. Also, Ollie McLansborough happened to do the same, so great work there by getting around. It's probably not something that would really get a penalty over, but possibly a stern talking to by on that rejoin.
Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting call there from the 308 to pull across onto the track. I understand you want to get onto the racing line and open up turn 1 there, but when you've got a pack of cars bearing down on you, best practice might have been there to just stay to the right and allow them and make them go around the outside. But no harm, no foul this time by. And you can see here Ollie McLansborough is all over the back of Aaron Oliver here. He's hustling and having to jump on the brakes a little bit early, but Ollie knows what to do here. Set up the run on corner exit, and he does indeed. Aaron, a little wide there through the final turn, but Ollie also having to dab the brakes a couple of times, so he's right on the bumper and no real place to go. Who goes for the race lead this time by? I think Ollie is going to be content to sit here, and so is Glenn Boyd. So here comes the Conga train, folks. Next stop, turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely going to see this all the way. Gee, Phoenix Smokers there, Steve McMahon's so late there. Can actually afford there to break a bit later than some of the others, having a bit of that gap to work with. You'd have to say though, for Ollie, is it worth just trying to sit him? We are expecting another pit stop from this 6 as well. So also just over the race radio, Daniel Webster copping a penalty before, so not too sure what all that was over.
It might be from an earlier incident there. Saw the 111 getting involved, unfortunately, in some accidents with lead lap traffic packs. So I think that might be what it was. We think we caught it a little bit earlier on the broadcast, about 5 or so laps ago. But our focus is going to have to stay with this one here now, folks. We've now got, we've got 7 cars back in this again. The battling continuing to allow the Savart car number 12 to hook back onto the train and slot into the lap times. And now is another chance for Matthew Cardellone to close the gap. Nearly 2 seconds faster than most of the drivers in the train last time by. Actually, about 1 second to 2 seconds, actually, apologies. Depending on where they were compared to the 308. Seems to have dictated their lap times, but nevertheless, every second counts here for Cardellone and Sam Lehman in the 93 racing entry. As we're approaching the final third of the race, and if I can close the gap up in this stint, it'll mean that Steve, it'll be up to Sam Lehman to bring it home and latch onto them and be in position when the time comes. Oh, too wide though at Canada corner for the lead. Oh no, contact! McLansborough bumps Oliver out into the gravel. Glenn Boyd takes the race lead. Brody Cook goes up to second out of all this. Oh, and the redress immediately comes out from the 14. So good acknowledgement from McLansborough there to put the hand up and say, my bad. But that breaks the group up. And let's have a look at it again here on the virtual racing school replay, Nick.
Yeah, that might actually work into that Matthew Cardellone's favour as well. So it's going to push a couple of cars back to roughly where he is. So they all might be able to latch on together there. Very good save there in the sand trap with Lee Harrison. Not looping it around there. And yeah, great work there by Ollie McLansborough for redressing as well. You can see when we're taking these risks all race that usually it is always coming unstuck can happen in these situations.
Indeed, it does, as you said. give the 93 almost the perfect leg up. They're not quite there yet in terms of the draft, but a 2:33.0 from Cardellone last lap around is good pace compared to the race leader, Glenn Boyd, doing a 2:34.0. So another second cut from the leader back to Cardellone in 8th. And a bit of shuffling down into turn 5. What do we got? Wayne Losh looking at the inside of Brody Cook there at turn 5, but no dice this time by here, Nick. They're going to get back in single file.
Yeah, it is. Maybe it's a bit of a wake-up call with that incident that we just saw before there, to just take it a little bit easy there. It's, you know, it's really worth trying to get a position out on track at this stage. It's more worth just trying to stay and just chip away. Or as we just saw, that is Brody Cook running it ever so wide there in that Team Parts car.
That doesn't do him any favours, and it's giving Glenn Boyd a bit of a chance of a lifetime to start a runaway here and possibly just give themselves that breathing room when it comes to the pit strategy later on at the end of the stint. We do have some lap traffic up ahead, but it is just the one car in the form of the 51 Mauler Esports entry. So for Glenn Boyd, that shouldn't be too much trouble. But here comes this pack. I think Wayne Losh is looking at the inside of Brody Cook here, and he thinks that looks like Cook might be vulnerable here, and he needs to try and take full advantage. Up the inside at Canada corner. Gets the job done quite nicely. And here we're on board with the 308. There's Steve McMahon, maybe thinking about the inside, but has to tuck back into line as Cook brings a nose across for the penultimate corner here. So, game on between this group. I mean, if they keep fighting, Aaron Oliver has actually rejoined the back of the train behind Nicholas Scaife in the number 12. So, didn't take them all that long to form back up. And once again, Cardellone back in the 93. Gap under 6 seconds. That's continuing to close for him.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing all this lap traffic now. So Jack Boyd around this first car up the road. This is actually going to possibly play into the strategy for the moment for a few of these cars. Jack Boyd just having a little bit of breathing room so he can kind of sneak through on those blue flags a little bit easier. It does get a bit trickier when you're fighting in these groups at the moment.
Oh, meanwhile, down at turn 5, there's something gone wrong for the 303 entry of Froglet Racing. Looks like they had a little bit of a spin. They're going again, so might want to jump back to the lead pack of cars. Actually, we'll grab a quick VRS replay of it. Sounds like a good idea. I think it's just going to be another case of possibly grabbing that apex curb. Nope, just way too deep under brakes. It's a little bit different there. So, in fact, and then just actually jump back on the brakes to make sure no dramas there. Meanwhile, leaders continuing to navigate lap traffic. Oh, it's getting busy, all right. The number 12 Savart car is getting absolutely hounded and has been passed by both the 14 and the 26 in all of that. The number 71 Crisscross Racing car is trying to, I think, get out of the way here, perhaps, but Ben Snell jumping on the radio from the from the spotter's booth of the 36. So I get the feeling maybe some issues here with the lap traffic, just continuing to race. And oh, careful there, Brendan, and aboard the 71. I would suggest rolling out of it. This is the lead pack of cars, and they do not want to be dealing with lap traffic in the middle of all this. It's giving Glenn Boyd everything he needs to get away from the lead, from the group here. Gap is approaching 1.7 seconds now between Glenn Boyd in the race lead and Wayne Losh in second. It's working out perfectly for the guys out front.
Yeah, he has actually managed to get a straight section of the circuit, so is able to roll out of it, just sit in behind at the moment, but not wanting to. This is definitely they do look down firmly on.
Oh, careful, number 7. It's just on the inside there of the final corner, bit busted up there on the inside. Meanwhile, Brody Cook brings the team Bahats 36 down to the lane early. It's lap 35 of 46. Now, pardon me, I'm just going to quickly count. Can Ben Snell do the rest of the race from here? 15 laps complete for Ben Snell. So, yes, he can do the rest of the race for team perhaps car. So they're getting out of that fight straight away. We've seen the undercut work earlier, and I feel like I've seen the undercut work best in this race already. Meanwhile, down at the final corner, it's on for 13th place. Neil McKenzie defending against Richie Domingo in the carbon eggplant machine. Domingo, I think, almost losing the rear end there to the grass, but no harm, no foul. And what did I say? Matthew Cartolone smells blood, and he's been given it wrapped up in a Christmas present for good measure. Up the inside. Oh, no, contact with the 308. That's not what either car needs right now, but thankfully both cars bump off each other there and keep on going with no problems. But that time gain has come perfectly for Matthew Cartolone. Now less than 3.5 seconds off the race lead. Meanwhile, Glenn Boyd's been caught by Wayne Losh and Aaron Oliver again. So traffic continuing to play a part. This time it's not gone in. Oh, no. Meanwhile, there on screen, I think that's a lapped car we just saw get tangled up with the 93 racing entry.
I think that was actually...
No, sorry. That was the 14 of Ollie McLansborough. Oh, goodness me. It's popping off right now. The traffic isn't doing any favours, but let's jump on that virtual racing school replay here, Nick.
Yeah, you could just see coming down here, car 93. So hard there. You can just see potentially car 14 coming over the top there. So whether or not that was some netcode or not, it was straight back onto the circuit. But you'd have to say that potentially might have cost them their chance of getting the win or that podium. That has put them about 7 seconds adrift of Glenn Boyd at the front here.
We'll have to see. They've got cars to work with, and they're not that far off. It's now 2 packs of 3 fighting over positions for the lead. If they can catch Nicholas Scaife in the Savart car, I think they'll be all right. And they might also need to pit. Well, can they pit early? I'm not quite so sure. No, they can't pit. They can't pit early. Cooper Allen is going to have to do a short final stint here. That's the situation they've got themselves in. Meanwhile, cars into the lane. Nicholas Scaife for Savart, the number 12. Wayne Losh for WBT, Aaron Oliver for Simworx Penrite, and Glenn Boyd from the race lead comes in to put Jack 10 laps to go. Here comes the final stint.
Yeah, and there we go. So that has pushed our car 93 racing, 93 racing there of Cartolone all the way at the front. You are correct though, Ollie McLansborough is only about 3 seconds adrift now of these leading two, so potentially if he can try and push as hard as he can, could potentially make that back at the moment. The only really car that he has in behind at the moment is almost the Mentos Frogleap juice, so this group are really out on their own at the moment.
See how it goes here. For the guys staying out on track, McMahon goes up the inside at turn 5. Oh, car spun just as I'm talking about it. Thankfully, the number 69 of Jamie Budd is able to recover before anything happens to the race leaders, but they're going back and forth. Meanwhile, out of the pits, oh goodness me, but just as I'm talking about everything, look who snuck through in front. Ben Snell with the undercut stop is able to get ahead of this pack. He's got Graham Ellis for company here. In fact, actually got past Ellis there on the front straightaway. That obviously gives Sonny Canchin a car to work with in terms of draft, but Lee Harrison, he isn't waiting around. He was looking to try and get past him straight away out of pit exit. So down the second straightaway, here we go. What can these cars do on their outlap? Cold tyres. I hope they're remembering that as they make their way down to turn 5 here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Just see neck and neck there at the moment. You'd say there with Sonny Canchin all the way up the inside. Whether or not Lee Harrison can keep all 4 tyres well and truly in the grass there, but he's not lifting off. He's got a car directly in front of him. Oh, at the moment they've just crossed over. Big touch there from those two as well. They're almost in a tricky situation. They really can't back off. They've got to try and make that time back, or we're going to see the Smokers Racing 93 and Ollie McLansborough potentially get a faster lap in and give him that advantage. Or another big moment there for Lee Harrison, really trying to keep that car pointing forward.
Oh, it's getting a little bit frisky up here. Oh, in the grass. Gee, where's Lee Harrison? Once and twice through the carousel. He's going to have to give it up to Jack Boyd. It's not going to plan there for the 26 here out of the pits, but it is going to plan for the number 36 up ahead. Ben Snell has been able to stretch a small gap here on Sonny Canchin. the challenge will be keeping someone as skilled as Kanchan behind, or at least consistently lapping enough here from Ben Snell to be able to hold the gap. We'll wait and see on that one, but yeah, these guys, less than 10 laps to go. They are now absolutely putting the foot down here.
Yeah, it's absolutely there. So they really do have that car in the mix there as well. You see Jack Boyd just lining up that overtake, so he's going to get through there on car 75 there of Graham Ellis. You'd have to say they're big drag race there. Lee Harrison trying to get through as well. You can just see how much he's trying to come to grips with those cold tyres there. So it is going to be the run to the flag now, at least for this group of 5. It's all eyes are going to be on the front. We are just going to cut away from live at the moment, but all eyes are going to be on our front 3 at the moment there. Whether or not they can get in the pits, that is going to be Ollie McLansborough, Few Blokes Incorporated, as well as Phoenix Smokers. So we're just getting a update at the moment.
Apologies for that one, folks, but we'll take a quick moment to just obviously run through the partners that make the Simworx Roadster Rumble possible. Of course, to Simworx as the title sponsor, KP Tech, Now Global Logistics, Rinaldi, Phoenix Smokers, Palmer's, Haynes Construction, Automotive Towing. Pardon me, that's an old one there. Old list. I am a bit sorry with it. A lot of partners that make this series possible, and big thanks to all of them for continuing to support the series. As you heard there, a couple of brands that have been around for quite some time and still continue to support the series as we're now back with live pictures. And see here, I was wondering if the 36 would be able to hang on, but the answer looks like it's a no, because through goes Sonny Kanchan, and up next, Lee Harrison and Jack Boyd will have a shot of it, but behind them, trouble for Graham Ellis in the 75 car from Downshift Down Under, around at the Hurry Downs, it would seem, as we were keeping an eye on the lead pack there, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just actually catching this pack coming through the kick. Now we are going to catch a VRS replay of that all on his own. Whether or not he's just pitched it in a little bit too hard there. Very lucky there not to take the car out from behind. We are going to cut back to live pictures here at the moment. We are seeing Lee Harrison. Just a bit of a gap opening up between Ben Snell, Lee Harrison, and the Boyd racing car just up ahead.
See it coming through the final corner once again here with 8 laps to go on the clock for this group of cars. Sonny Kanchan now leading the train. Jack Boyd up into second in the queue with Ben Snell hanging on to third, but here comes Lee Harrison once again. And based on Lee's aggression, it seems, in this final stint, he's straight through and says, "Thank you very much, I'll take that." And nice, clean, easy pass there for the number 26 machine there for Simworx Penrite Extreme Racing as they make their way down through turn number 3. And still waiting on the 2 leaders to come into the pits. Matthew Cardellone still leading Steve McMahon. Meanwhile, though, towards the back of the field, Brenton Bull, and that's just ahead of our race leaders, come think of it. Greg Sholton aboard the Sholton Lewis Racing Team car, and Brenton Bull aboard Carbon Pumpkins. Currently fighting over 25th on track, and they're not too far away from the final pit stops either, so they shouldn't end up going a lap down here, folks. But you can see here, scrapping away to the end of the race, up and down the field, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So now's probably the time. We're getting really close. It really is for track position now. So strategy and stuff, it comes down to this. Yeah, we're just hearing race control coming over, just reminding some of the cars to make sure that they yield on blue flags. So we've seen a few incidents so far. That has been, yeah, Matt Van Egmond there going very deep there, and then And then we've got another stranded car there up to the outside of the circle.
Andrew Robertson, the crisscross sim racing number 7 entry. I think just taking a heed of the final warning there to stay well clear of any cars that are passing them to a lap. Meanwhile, we need to come back to the fight for the effective race lead because it's starting to heat up. They've caught Richie Domingo, who's currently lapping almost over 3 seconds a lap faster. So Richie here, this is going to be, it is for position on track, but Jack Boyd's going to have to time this right, and I don't think he has. Gets a little bit bottled up. Does Richie go for the pits? No. So Jack's going to have to get past him here on track. Sonny Canchin lines up for the draft. Do we get a bump pass, or are we going to get a 3 wide moment here, Nick? Looks like a bump pass might be on the odds here. Nope, make it 3 wide. Make it 3 wide instead. Oh, and Boyd almost tries to cut him off. And cars exiting pit lane. Wade McCulloch, he's got a blue flag on this group. This is going to be nasty now. Oh, where does McCulloch go? Oh, good awareness to pull to the inside there, Nick, as we head down to turn number 3.
Yeah, absolutely nothing in it. So, yeah, Sonny Canchin, nowhere to go there. Threaded the needle there. You'd have to say there plays into it, the blend line that we have here coming out of the pits, but worked out all right. Very experienced driving as what we've seen here tonight.
And the racing continues. Canchin looking to the inside. Jack Boyd here down to turn number 5. He wants back lead of this little train. Boyd flicks it out wide to hook the corner in. Going for the over-under here at turn 6 maybe. Thinks about it, but gets back in line under the bridge. And we'll have to wait for another opportunity. Got some cars in the pit lane. Well, downshift down under into the pit lane from now 19th place. So a little bit further back for those guys. But meanwhile, up front of the field, Matthew Cardellone and Steve McMahon still yet to pit. Their lap times are competitive, though. They are roughly on pace with the race leaders. So it's going to be touch and go here. But at 52 seconds, I think they might have left it a bit too late here, Nick, to be able to stay with the lead pack.
We're just seeing the Phoenix Smokers of Steve McMahon coming in, so he'll be a good indication of where he sits with the rest of the group. We can see our lead group here flying around the back of the circuit through the kink here.
And miles side by side for the leading crew. Jack Boyd gets the job done before we hit the brakes for Canada Corner. Sonny Canchin, I think, opting at this point in the race to just roll back out of it and not put up too much of a fight, because the more of a fight you get, you're going to obviously burn up time. Meanwhile, the number 14 car of Ollie McLansbury's come to the pit lane as well. And Nick Wood back in the car for number 308. Just taking tyres now, but as I suspect, he'll be a fair ways behind this group because he's only just down off the jacks now. Still waiting on fuel. Still waiting. Here comes the group. And Nick was away just now as they come past the pit exit. And yeah, a good 4 or 5 seconds is going to have to be made up out of somewhere. If Canchin and Boyd start fighting like they are and go for the old side-by-side at every opportunity we got, they might have a chance of it here, but get the feeling things are a little bit slim. Oh, deep into turn 3 there from Canchin. Boyd wasn't having any of it. Tried to hold the outside line, and he's just made it work here as they head down the straight to turn 5. Ben Snell's back in the fight. Big bump in the rear of Lee Harrison there, Nick, though. Oh, that nearly got a bit messy, but all cars in one piece and traveling in the right direction as we head down the hill here.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Boyd there just with that inside slides that MX-5 right in front of Sonny Canchin. Sonny just showing a nose, and it's been such a great overtaking opportunity around this part of the circuit. There's really big, long, flat corners here. Really starting to hit up there. Lee Harrison all over the back.
Indeed, Canchin thought about the inside through Hurry Downs, had to back out of it, and Harrison all over the back of him, had to stay in line as they make their way up into the carousel here. 4 cars fighting for what will be the race lead once the pit cycle completes. The question is now on how much of a deficit will Cardellone have to this group when they come into the lane. He's putting the foot down, doing low 233s, but they have to come down the pits sooner or later. And at about 3/10 to half a second per lap gained, I don't think it's going to be enough, given that Cardellone will have to come into the pits in the next couple of laps here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just seen Sonny Canchin off the circuit down the bottom of the circuit. We might have to cut to a replay. That has actually kept the boot in, though. It's just given Jack Boyd a bit of a nose. It's actually lost a little bit of momentum there, held up Lee Harrison as well. We'll just have a look. It was in the really sharp braking zone, so whether or not just finding the limit of adhesion on the tyres. So great seeing these MX-5s when they do go off track. They really don't lift off. They just keep it all the way flat to the floor.
Well, this is the kind of fighting that Cardellone really needs to hear about and see, because that's just given him 1.7 seconds on that last lap. Oh, car out of the pit lane. Thankfully, stays right. Andrew Robertson, the number 7 for Crisscross. Thankfully, these guys didn't wander too far over as well. So, Jack Boyd now leading the group. And got a little bit of a breather here, but this just seems like it's free real estate for Sonny Canchin to drive on into with the toe down these straights. Close the gap back up. Get the race pace back up a bit, because they lost a healthy dose of time there to Cardellone last time round. And if they do that a couple more times, might just give Cardellone the chance to hang on with this pack. Is that the 308? That is the 308 of Nick Wood around at turn 3. That's the last thing that Nick needed to have a chance of getting back into the lead pack. Virtual Racing School replay. Oh no, that's not a good look. This might just be all by its own. Under brakes. Oh dear. That's a bit messy there, Nick. Lap car on the outside. Met in the middle, I think, almost, is probably the way I'd describe that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So what?
So number 7, Crisscross Racing, if I'm not mistaken, who's currently up the road and will have to be navigated by once again in a moment's time for the 308. Meanwhile, just as I was saying, Jack Boyd had a bit of a buffer, but that really didn't mean anything, because it has allowed Sonny Canchin to drive straight into that gap with a toe. So, on the bumper once again through the kink and down to Canada corner we go. Cardellone is in from the lead of the race. We'll stay with this pack though, I think, because down to Canada corner, do we get a repeat of the previous lap? No, they sorted it out before the corner. I think they realised that last lap was costly, and they can't afford to have another one of those. So, just trading the places back and forth here for the time being. And coming up to the final corner of the circuit, we're going to have 4 laps to go with this group as they cross the line, Nick. What can the 93 racing car do here when it comes off the pit lane?
Absolutely, you can just see no time at all split between this group. Oh, Lee Harrison almost having to roll out of it there. You can see Ben Snell just winding that gap up in between as well. So you just see Sam Lehman rejoining very far back there, so that is going to be his chance of a podium done. Only really have 5 laps to go here, so you would have to
4 laps to go even.
Yeah, to be almost that amount of seconds back would be very difficult to pull up on the rest of this field. On board at the moment with Lee Harrison, surely him and Aaron Oliver need to have a bit of luck go their way. Same with Ben Snell. We've seen Ben and his teammate there have been denied a podium when they've really shown some pace, so it'd be great to see them with a bit of luck.
Down the turn 5 once again. This time it's Sonny Canchin to the inside of the corner. Jack Boyd looks to hang it around the outside, but they're going to be side by side up the hill. Surely this means Canchin takes the spot. And again, knowing these two guys, they can race side by side for plenty of lap here, and Jack Boyd does exactly that, using all of the exit curb there to full advantage to get the inside through turn 7. But side by side continues as Canchin holds it round the outside as we head down to Hurry Downs here on lap 43 of 46. Small moment for Ben Snell, but here comes the crisscross from Jack Boyd. It's going to put him on the outside of the carousel though. Does he try and stick it in? There's almost a nose at Kenshin's bumper. The answer is no. He tucks back in to try and almost, I think, yeah, tried to cut underneath, but maybe on the power too soon. Drifts out a little wide, but single file once again as they head down into the kink. This time, Jack Boyd's turn to have a move surely here. These guys seem to be able to keep the pace up whilst going side by side. And again, here we go. This time it's Boyd to the outside. Can he make the move stick? Kenshin losing a bit of ground here. And indeed, Boyd either later, I think Boyd just slightly later on the brakes and Kenshin for good measure early on the brakes to tuck back in. They're happy to trade places here as we approach 3 laps to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd have to say whether or not Jack Boyd's actually in the right position here at this point in time. He's going to be that first wheel, obviously, coming out of this corner onto the straight, but surely won't be able to weave around, really. Will have to be more of a sitting duck here as you see Kenshin and Lee Harrison come around there. Ben's still a little bit back there. He's about 0.3 of a second adrift here at the moment. You can see just how much he pulls in that gap, but it's really coming down to this group of 4.
Indeed, Ben Snell opting to lift out once again, and probably the right move from him in that case. Sam Lehman is getting up to speed, I think, now, having done that outlap, but the gap between him and the race leader is just on 5 seconds. So I think, unfortunately for him, unless it's gonna have to be an accident of some kind that brings him back in with a chance of improving on 5th place. And given that Ben Snell is there and he's trying to really ride the numbers and just wait for the opportunity to fall his way. Meanwhile, Jack Boyd up the inside at turn 5, but Kenshin sets up a hold around the outside this time. And in fact, he's going to have a nose ahead into turn 6. Can Jack Boyd stick it in under brakes? He angles in for the apex early, so in fact, they're going to do it again this time. Roll reversal, though. It's going to be Boyd on the outside of turn 7, but no. Kenshin gets the drive off of turn 6 and gets the car clear ahead. Single file once again down to the hurry downs, but Boyd, as I say that, and Boyd pulls right out immediately. Straight up the inside at turn number 8. Gets a nose ahead, but again, level on the corner exit. And now he's got the job of trying to go the long way around the carousel. Doesn't opt for it and tucks strap back in. Lee Harrison, I think, also biding his time for now. Still 2 and a bit laps to go here in this endurance race. Oh, a dab of the brakes from Jack Boyd on the exit of the carousel, trying to time it right through the kink here, Nick. It's going to be busy once again, side by side, surely coming up here down to Canada Corner once more.
You can see that Sonny really favours that outside line, choosing not to this time. Actually, he's holding well and truly on the inside. Gee, Boyd got an absolute great run there. Actually got the nose out over the front there of Sonny Kenshin. See if he can hold on to that momentum out to the sand a little bit. These two.
A little bit of a wobble from Boyd there. I think just seeing that Kenshin wasn't completely committed to giving up the position that time by, and now has to fend for the outside line. Who's the big winner here? Oh, Boyd and Harrison to the grass, Kenshin to the inside. Does Ben Snell go for the run here, or are we going to get a pair of bump drafts? The answer is we're going to get a pair, so 2x2 bump drafting up the straight. 2 laps to go here at the line, folks. Still 13 kilometers of racing ahead of us here, and it's on. And I said that Lehman was out of this, but he's closed the gap from nearly 5 seconds to 3.5. If they keep fighting like this, Lehman's on an outside chance to claim a podium here, I think, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be anyone's game. And what we saw earlier as well, only takes the slightest mistake and you can lose a second or 2 at the drop of a hat, like we have already seen here with Sonny Kenshin, like we've already seen here with Lee Harrison. So they're really like cutting it fine as they pass under the cheese bridge here. Sonny Kenshin up with the inside line there. Lee Harrison finding a little bit of a gap though, choosing to coast out of it. Wise thing to do, that is actually going to hold Jack Boyd all the way to the outside.
Boyd still looking for the outside, well, looking for the outside this time on Sonny Kenshin. Not able to make it work here through turns 5 and 6, so back in single file we go. Again, these guys now really starting to sort of probe and figure out and plan their final moves here. I think realistically we're looking at waiting, well, maybe not waiting, but knowing your final proper chance is Canada corner, because if you can get that job done, you might be able to hold on to the final turn. But in saying that, you could get a drag race to the line here if things don't play out. So, round the carousel, and here on lap 45 of 46, with Sonny Canchin leading the race, but Jack Boyd, Lee Harrison, Ben Snell are all here. Sam Lehman in 5th. Gap has stretched back out to 4 seconds between the race leader, though. So, I think these guys, again, a little bit less aggressive on the attack this time by. I think Lehman maybe doesn't quite have the X factor on pace compared to Cartalone, unfortunately. So maybe not quite getting the stint pairings right for that 93 racing car in terms of raw pace at the end. But still, they were thinking about 2x2 into the corner, but no dice this time by. Boyd a little bit deep. So here we go. Up to the final corner here on lap 45 of 46. No one looking for the move here. Everyone knows. Got to get the run onto the front straight right. And do we get the good run? The answer is yes. Look at that millimeter precision onto the front stretch. And here we go. 3/10 the gap. Canchin and Boyd. Well, almost 4/10, pardon me. But we come to the line. It's going to be 3/10 when the white flag waves. As you see there at the top of the gantry. Here we go. 6.5 kilometers remaining. And there are 4 drivers in it to win it. Canchin immediately to the inside wall for turn 1, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Just see how much that bit of a rear bump there by Jack Boyd, but you can just see how much that lead diminishes. So that'd be one curious to know as well. That start-finish line is actually quite early on that straight as well. So very, very hard to run around a car if you're a car width behind. What a battle though that we've seen from this final 4. They've pretty much for the last 2 hours have all absolutely gone at it here at the moment. On board with Lee Harrison, looking up at Jack Boyd. Ben Snell really just on this first part of the lap, really not being able to make too much of a move though. He's actually outbraked himself though. Just saved it from both himself and Jack Boyd gone crazy wide there.
Indeed, I think to be honest, Ben Snell has just been waiting and waiting and waiting and decided that was the time, but didn't pull it up. Maybe should have thought about a chance to practice that one there, because it's now broken us into 2 pairs. That's all I need to say about that one there. Lee Harrison probably kicking himself with that one there and not being able to get underneath the when Snell overshot the corner at turn 5, but through the carousel. Final time in the race here. Jack Boyd all over the rear bumper of Sonny Canchin. He's close enough to make the move for sure down into Canada corner. The question is, what does Canchin do on the defense? That's right on board here from the roll bar of Boyd. Through the kink for the final time in the race. Closing. Bumped on the exit of the kink. Got a second bump there for good measure. Just stalls the momentum a fraction, but has to go to the outside for Canada. Moving to the middle of the track. These guys are going to use every millimeter of circuit. Boyd ahead on the brakes, side-by-side contact. I think that might have just sealed the deal as to who wins this race. Contact in the middle of Canada corner. It's going to give Sonny Canchin a breather. Up to the penultimate kink. Harrison looking to the outside of Boyd to steal second at the end of the race. Final corner, what do we get? Side by side with Harrison and Boyd. Ben Snell looking for the run, but into the grass for Snell. He's not going to get the place. But the momentum stall. Just so I say that, Sonny Canchin and Wayne Losh, they're going to take the race win here at Road America. Who's got second in the grass for Snell? But I think it's going to be Lee Harrison and Aaron Oliver. They're going to take it by 1/100th of a second over Jack Boyd and Glenn Boyd. Ben Snell and Brody Cook will have to settle for 4th. And Sam Lehman, Matthew Catalone, they settle for 5th place here. As we look now to the remaining battle packs on track near Court here to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing car 226, so one of the carbon cars a little bit further back than what we've seen. As very sharp inside line there. Same with downshift as well, so downshift possibly wondering what could have been. We have seen Tane Venables just so strong in the some of these races there. I think that might be the Fenson brothers in behind, just pulling a great amount of gap in between. We are seeing pretty much most of our top 20 over the line.
Pardon me, we had a battle for 15th in a Canada corner, and here we are. Something has gone wrong here, and Brandon Millen in the Fearless Racing car has dropped a position. Simon Joel Smith has dropped 2 spots from a 15th to 10th, 15th to 17th, sorry. And, Dylan Canto gets a spot there and has a moment on the corner exit. And Jesse White-Carrig is going to jump up from 18th at the start of the final lap to 15th here at the end of the race. That's 21 places gained. That's our biggest mover of the night. So, all being well done at Canada Corner, we might want to try and catch a replay of that one there if we can, because I saw something happening just before we cut to live pictures of that one there. Meanwhile, a couple more cars coming across the line. The 101 Carbon Mung Bean car finishes the race here in 20th place. So looking for the incident, possibly an incident between cars 8 or 30, along with 75 and 2. There was a 4-car train up until Canada Corner, and something might have happened here. Let's have a look at it on the virtual racing score replay, Nick.
Yeah, out here on the replay, we've seen the
Okay.
KP take a little bit further
Behind. So it's with the cars up ahead if we can. Oh, that number 2 looks deep on the brakes on the inside. Ooh, and contact with the 75. I think we found out what's happened there. And I think Brandon McMillan there, a little bit too ambitious and deep on the brakes for what the MX-5 can handle. Oh yeah, clips 2 cars for good measure. And Jesse White-Carrig says, "Thank you very much. I'll have every single one of those places now, if you don't mind."
Yeah, great work there by White-Carrig there, 15th place. Nice and strong for those two, always battling it out there in our AM classes. So I think we are going to cut to our, to see some donuts there out on circuit. Might be able to cut to our leaderboard.
Let's have a run through the race results here. So Team WBT, Wayne Losh and Sonny Kanchin take home the race win, getting clear by 8/10 ahead of Lee Harrison and Aaron Oliver in the Simworx Penrite Extreme Racing 26. Jack Boyd, Glenn Boyd, not quite able to hold on to P2 there. As you can see, just 4 milliseconds in it and coming home in third. Team Perhaps, Ben Snell, Brody Cook, nice and patient there up until the end, just not quite able to make the move work at the end, so P4 for them. 93 Racing coming home in 5th place with Savart sort of fading at the end there for 6th place. Same with Few Blokes Incorporated. And after their pace earlier on, that incident they weren't able to recover from, unfortunately. Synergy Sim Racing, number 88 car in the server, doing a good job to bring it home in 8th place there, ahead of the Phoenix Smokers Racing 308. Another car there that dropped off the pace with the long run before their final stop. And then down under Sim Esport Yellow, the number 9 car, rounding out our top 10 here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have the other downshift car there, car 43 there, Carbon Potatoes, downshift Black Dog, Carbon Eggplant, so downshift Carbon, downshift Carbon. Team KP Tech there, as we saw in that last replay there, Duo Motorsport, downshift Down Under, Fearless Racing, Down Under Sim Esport, and Carbon Mung Bean in 20 minutes. In 20th position.
And then for 21st place, Team Kiwi Sim Racing bring it home in the number 20. 747 Palms Australia, we saw a rough part of the early race. They have settled for 22nd place. HBC Racing, 23rd position, and maybe not quite where they want to be here tonight. And 24th, the 303 Frog Leap Juiced Racing, another one of the cars we saw unfortunately caught up in an incident earlier on in the race. And our last car to finish on the lead lap leaves us with Acidian Racing, Sholton Lewis Racing Team, Carbon Pumpkin, Crisscross Racing 71, APTR Motorsport, and Fenton Brothers Racing to round out our top 30. And our first cars to finish a lap down. And then Simrigs.com, 31st place, and our last car to finish 1 lap off the pace here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were guns once racing there. They were in with a really good shot there at the start. Mauler Esports, Crisscross Racing, Extreme Racing, the Sharp Racing Team, and then White Knuckle having that technical difficulty, I think on lap 1 or 2. So really unfortunate there for White Knuckle. All their drivers are going to be definitely behind the 8 ball when it comes to points over this round.
Yeah, indeed. Unfortunate there. No laps recorded for that number 92 for White Knuckles. So going to be a long bit of work for them. Well, we've got the second place drivers awaiting a quick interview here, so let's grab them in for a chat. Lee Harrison and Aaron Oliver. Congratulations, boys. Second place there at the end of the race. You guys were in that lead pack from the very get-go and fighting from just about the word go for good measure. Timing that run at the end was down to a couple of things there. We thought for a second with the move from the Team Perhaps car, you might have lost a chance, but you got back in at just the right opportunity there at the end.
Yeah, it was a good fight back, really. We come from 17th on the grid and 11 seconds down when I pitted at lap 6. So to fight back and be, a couple of tenths off the win there is an absolutely amazing fight back. And Aaron did a stellar job in the middle stints there as well to keep us in the hunt. So look, we faced a bit of challenges, but just had to keep our heads together and clean. And yeah, we both did an awesome job, and we put it on Jack at the end there for second, which was an awesome run to the flag as well.
Indeed. Final timing result of just 4 milliseconds was all the difference it ended up being. And you make a good point there that maybe qualifying not quite the result you would have hoped for there at the start of the race, and then having to work your way through the field. But just, nailing out those consistent laps in the early phase when the battling had begun up front early on. When you get into that lead pack situation and you because when it got to about that halfway point, it really felt like there was a switch had flipped and the fighting really sort of came up a notch, despite the fact that you're all trying to still maintain quick lap times there. And it got to a point where we had 7 odd cars in that lead pack. I guess, what's the best mentality you guys would find when it comes to being in that kind of situation there? And the priority one needs to be about looking after the car and still being in the group at the end of the stint.
Well, I think it's just a matter of fact of just trying to hang with them. You've all got the same objective of where do you want to be at the end of the race, and that's to win. So first of all, you gotta finish the race. You gotta be there for the end. So I think it certainly helped us in the end with all the fighting that was going on early on in the race. It certainly brought us back into it. Obviously, I didn't have the best quality result, and I started us off way back down the grid, but yeah, just between Lee and I, we knuckled down and we were able to move our ways forward. So overall, it's a pretty good end result, and yeah, well done to Lee.
Indeed, a credit to you both for being able to pull yourself up from the start of that race, get to that lead pack, and then finish incredibly well there. Well, just as a signing off message, chance here to thank the sponsors on the car, and to those who helped get it done for you boys.
Yeah, of course. So main sponsors are Extreme, Penrite, Simworx, of course. And then, of course, all the sponsors of the league. You got Phoenix Smokers, Motorsport Hauler, True Clean, Auto Detailing, Rinaldi, Race Labs, Aussie Carts, Automotive Towing, KP Tech, Palmer's Skincare for keeping us smooth as butter and keeping those lap times nice and quick tonight. And of course, you guys for putting on an awesome show. Can't wait to jump back in and watch the replay. So and of course all the admin guys behind the league as well. Greg does an amazing job to set this all up and keep everyone on their toes with the strategies and all that sort of stuff. And I know he works tirelessly. So awesome work to everyone that made it happen, and really looking forward to getting back out there again next week for what will be my last race with the series for a little while.
It's unfortunate to hear there, Lee. Being a regular contender in the series and a quality racer, always putting on a good fight from start to finish. Well done once again, boys, and hopefully I'll see you back next week, Aaron, as the series continues on.
Absolutely. So we will see. That does look like that will be the ending of our broadcast here tonight.
Apologies there if I cut out there.
Sorry about that.
I will admit, when it all went quiet, I had a concern that my microphone dropped again. So apologies, everyone, for that. That seems to have been twice tonight. We seem to be having issues with audio, as you love to have. So I was just saying, yeah, well done to you both, Lee and Aaron. Sorry to hear you'll be away from the series for a bit there, Lee, but hope to see you back next week as always, Aaron.
Cool. Yeah, thanks you guys. Yeah, as always, yeah. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes that makes this happen. Like Lee said, all the sponsors and that have been with us this series so far. It is sad to see Lee go. I will be missing him for the final round of our Enduro Championship. So just putting it out there, if anyone wants a co-driver, I'm out there. So come hit me up and we'll go racing together.
Well, there you go, folks. Thanks again, boys, and yeah, good luck for the future rounds.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, yep, that is going to do us for tonight, Nick. Action from start to finish here in the Simworx Roadster Rumble. What else do you expect in this series? Put it on a good show once again, and it was down to the wire there with that race. We didn't know who was going to win until the end, but once again, a top team is able to pull out a good result. But yeah, it took until Canada Corner before we sort of knew when that was going to happen.
Absolutely, and it kind of broke the stranglehold there of the few blokes incorporated there. So great to see, yeah, both Lee and Aaron getting a bit of better luck there this time, and getting it on the podium. So yeah, congratulations to everyone tonight, and yeah, what a great session it's been.
Indeed. Well, that's going to do it from us tonight here, and a big thanks once again to all of the Simworx Roadster Rumble partners. Of course, Simworx as the title sponsor, but along with KP Tech, Automotive Towing, Aussie Carts, Palmer's, Rinaldi, Race Lab, Phoenix Smokers, Motorsport Hauler, and True Clean Auto Detailing. It's so great to see a lot of brands coming on board to make this series possible and help make it bigger and better each and every season it's been on. SimSpeed will be back on Thursday evening for the Aussie Kart Skip Barber series. My name is Daniel Yeaman. I've had Nick Scrave in the commentary box alongside me and Scott Fontaine on production. A big thanks to you all for watching along tonight, or if you watch along afterwards on YouTube or Facebook. Until next time, though, take care and bye for now.